All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you are new here. I hope everybody is doing well today. I just realized there's a lot of like dust and fuzzy things on my hat that for some reason is coming through crystal clear. I'm gonna have to buy a new hat color, guys. This ain't gonna work. Look at this. What is going on here, dude? What is going, like, look at that. What is even going on here? Did one of my cats sleep on my hat? Jeez. But yes, welcome. I hope everybody's doing well. It's May 28th. It's Thursday. We are getting closer. And Corey, the legend Landiga.
I'm no hero.
He comes in and he immediately drops 5 member gifts for you guys.
Will be.
Corey, thank you so much for that, man. I'm going to add that to the goal and I'll explain what is going on with this goal here so you guys know what we're doing. Boss is already here. Boss, calm down. Calm down. Okay. By the way, I think we're at like, it's 2:20, by the way. Boss, calm down. Look, Corey, you dropped 5 gifts. Boss is going to harass me. I'm just going to feed him now. We'll feed the other cats later, but boss, he's like, me first. Me first. Mini Tom Official comes in, drops another 5 member gifts for you. So right off the bat, 10 member gifts. Thank you for that, Mini Tom. Do we have a member train? Do we have a member train? All right. Mini Tom, thank you for that, buddy. And Corey, thank you. Just gonna add that right here. Yeah, I'm gonna give boss his treats right now. And if we hit 25, I'll give the rest of the cats their treats too. Appreciate that, guys. So yeah, before we dive into anything, there are 2 member goals there. 1 daily, 1 weekly. Okay, today daily we're gonna go for 25. If we hit 25, the reward, feed the beast. If we hit 50, reward, I'll play the drums at the end of the stream. If we go beyond 50, extended drum solo, whatever you guys want. I would say reps, but I'm still healing. I got a couple of direct donations as well that I'm going to read. We have a weekly goal, though, and right now I set the weekly goal to 300. It's up to you. Guys, tomorrow we're going to be doing a morning with the missus, okay? We're doing that no matter what. So if you want to hang out with me and Mrs. MBG, be sure to tune into that. We're going to have some conversations and hang out. It'll be a good time. But if we hit that goal of 300 today, I will do a second stream where I play Lego Batman. Okay, we'll do a gameplay stream, so it'll be a double header. But if we hit the goal of 300, we'll have a extended goal, 350. Okay, and it's only if you guys really want to. I'll make Mrs. MBG join me to play Lego Batman. We have a very busy week coming up, but that's what we'll do. Not yet, Mini Tom. Not yet. And Titus comes in and drops another 5 member gifts for you guys. Titus, thank you so much for that, buddy. We do have the member train going.
All aboard!
That's my new favorite soundbite. We do have the member train going. Thank you for that. So yeah, just keep those goals in mind as we dive into the topics. But we have quite a bit to discuss today. Make sure. Hold on. Lady Gamer, I'm sorry to hear about that. I hope your morning gets better. And Titus, once again, thank you for the 5 gifts. Just got 007 First Light Special Edition PS5, about to play it tonight. That's what Mini Tom says. We have Wall Roar. We have a direct donation from somebody just named Anonymous. I don't know if this is you or not, Wall Roar. I don't know if you dropped 2 or not. But he says, this is ridiculous with all the prices going up. Gaming is going to be a luxury. The industry is pushing everyone to cloud or renting hardware. Unfortunately, this is true. I am concerned. I'm scared. We're all concerned. We're going to talk about this. Even Valve, dude. I mean, what is going on? And we have Metal Gear Ray coming in. Metal Gear Ray drops another 5 for you guys. He's keeping the member train going. Ray, I'm going to play this one for you because we need 5 more. We hit the first goal today.
Do it!
And Shadow Link does it.
Just do it!
Shadowlink does it.
You said tomorrow, so just
he did it.
Make your dreams come true.
He's making it come true.
Do it.
Shadowlink, thank you. Ray, thank you. So there we go. We fed the beast nice and early. Whenever the other cats come in, I'll feed them too. And we will move on to a second goal here. We also have Kale Kent coming in and actually upgrading their membership to Play Has No Limits. Thank you for that, Kale. I do appreciate that. I will actually count that because that is a member upgrade. So thank you for that, buddy. And let me get this out of here. So much to manage. It's actually 36. All right. So we're making good progress. I appreciate that, guys. I will also bring this up here. So if we hit 50 today, let me get rid of the Feed the Beast logo. If we hit 50, I will drum. I will drum at the end of the stream. Okay? It's been a while. It's been a while, but I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm actually feeling a lot better. I'm not going to lie. Like, I hope I don't jinx it. Just to give you guys a quick update. I'm feeling better than I have. The pain is starting to go away. It's still there, but man, it is dropping quite a bit. So yeah, that's good news there. And I did have one other direct donation from Wallroar. He says, "Hope you keep the stream up, man. Going to miss the live stream. These prices are way too high. Next gen's cooked. Everything is going to be over a G." You're probably right. I mean, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, man. We're going to discuss that, Wallroar, and the stream will stay up. You don't have to worry about that. So if you're not going to be able to watch the whole thing, it'll be there for you later. Yeah, this is it's a little bit concerning. Maybe very concerning. I don't know. We will dive into this. We have Cheese and Chainsaws. He has, let's see, back-to-back super chats here, which I appreciate, man. You're saying, "Why shocked? You gave the reason in your video. Sony has deals for hardware components in bulk. Valve is closer valuation to Bungie than they are to Sony and have to pay a new market price. Inevitable. If PlayStation runs out of stock, they will pay new prices and the PS5 will probably go up again. Same with Nintendo, Xbox, and Valve." Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why people are shocked, to be honest, Cheese, is because there's a sentiment that exists. And I think a lot of you guys are aware of this sentiment. That sentiment being, Valve is like, they're the one they can't do this. Like, they won't do this. It's not that they can't, they won't do it. Valve is like they're the golden one, right? And I think the reason why it's so shocking, it's not necessarily shocking to me, but I think for a lot of people, they're so shocked for two reasons. It is the sentiment that I think a lot of people just naturally felt, or maybe, you see it across the internet, where it's like Sony does it, Microsoft does it, Nintendo does it, because they're publicly traded companies and they need to always chase growth, even if that comes at the expense of the consumer in some instances where they have to keep raising the prices to make sure they're not losing a bunch of money on their hardware. So I think with Valve, it's like they're a privately owned company. This is why they, I guess what I'm trying to say is like what they just did here is not representative of what they've really ever done. And this is like a first, seemingly. It's a first because I think everybody just kind of held out hope that like, well, you guys aren't going to do it because you won't do that, right? Like, you're not going to be like Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo. You're different, and I think people just got a harsh reality check. All of us did, with Valve raising the prices the way they did yesterday. And it calls into question Steam Machine. But the second thing I want to say, Cheese, is that I think another reason this is so shocking is because of how much the price is going up. Like, it is absurd that the Steam Deck OLED is now $300 more expensive. It is more expensive than a PS5 Pro. To me, that is something that I think people... It's like, okay, maybe even if you were expecting a price increase, I don't think anybody was expecting it to be that steep. It's like, wow, man, this is egregious to an extent, But I do think that it has greater implications. Like, I know that people on the internet right now, some people are using this as an opportunity to dunk on PC players and those who have been really posturing themselves to, prop up Valve and kind of put Valve on a pedestal. Again, I think that's where that sentiment comes from, where it's like they wouldn't do this. They're built different, right? This is why they keep succeeding and how they keep winning without doing anything. And that's been true for like the longest time in a lot of ways. But this is like the first time I think the reality check, it's just truly settling in for people where it's like they're a business, guys. You know what I mean? Like, that's the big thing here, is that this situation is actually so wide reaching, so detrimental to the hardware space as a whole, that even a privately owned company like Valve, who is not known to ever do anything like this, even they're like, well, we have to do it too. And it's going to be significant. And Cheese, you're saying, suppose the difference with Valve is they don't have to sell the hardware to let people into their ecosystem. They could cancel the Steam machine. And that's very true. Yeah, Valve truly has more flexibility than, say, Sony, right? Like, Sony, we've talked about this extensively. Sony needs the PS6 to succeed. Now, granted, they have other options as well. They do have a certain level of flexibility. But the problem with Sony is the scale at which they're operating in, and the scale at which they move hardware and how important that is to their entire business model. If that were to take a massive hit and suddenly take a nosedive overnight, they could try to pivot to like, okay, we're going to put PS Plus everywhere. We're going to put everything everywhere, right? Sure, you could do that, but like the chances of that being as successful, the chances of that reaching the same level of success and profitability overall that what their current business model has achieved through the PS5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 is, well, the truth is I don't know what the chances are, but it's a risk nonetheless. It's like we don't know that this is going to work. Now, granted, we may not know if their push with the PS6 is going to work either, but that's maybe at this moment in time, that's the safest horse to bet on, because that's what has gotten them here every time. So you're right. With Valve, they could, that's the thing, man. The big question that people have now with Valve is like, how much is the Steam machine going to be? People were already expecting the Steam machine to be very expensive. People were already anticipating a pretty expensive box, but I think it was Brad Lynch, who I'm not too familiar with, but I think he's like a Valve/Steam leaker, I believe. And I think he's considered reputable. He came out yesterday and said, take it with a grain of salt. But what he heard behind the scenes 2 months ago, the prices he was told for the Steam machine were actually more expensive 2 months ago than the price increases we just saw for the Steam Deck OLED. So there's a chance that if they go through with releasing the Steam machine, which I think they are, I don't think they're going to cancel it. I think people are in for a shock, and that could be very true, very much the same and true for the PS6, for the Project Helix, and we already see the Switch 2 is going up in price. But the big thing here is this. I think one of the reasons why Valve, and really quick, Cheese, you're saying sad thing is all SDs sold out yesterday after the increase. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It just goes to show you that, like, even though people are freaking out about the prices, people are still buying. Even with something like this, where it's like, oh, the Steam Machine OLED is it's $300 more. I'm going to buy one right now at the new price. It's like, okay. Like, I just think that the reality is beginning to settle in, that no amount of complaining, no amount of internet discourse, no amount of rage baiting, no amount of anything on the internet itself is going to change the outcome that I think we're all kind of witnessing right now, which is that these companies are still going to sell to customers, and those numbers may shrink a little bit, but it seems like there's still going to be enough customers to where it's like, this is sustainable. This can work. That's my guess anyway. Because yeah, it's It's kind of like when you saw people when people saw that the PS5 Pro and the PS5 was going up in price, they just went out in droves. And they're like, we're just buying it all, which makes sense. It's like, yeah, get in there before the prices go up. You see with the Switch 2, you have till September. So I'm sure sales are bolstered because of that. What's interesting with the Steam Deck situation is that people bought these devices and they sold out literally after the price increase, like once the new price was in effect. So I don't know. I don't know what this means. We're going to have to continue to monitor the situation, guys. And we have Matedo with a super chat. Thank you, buddy. He says, hey, MBG, Steam Deck massive price increase and the copium has begun. PCM. I'm not going to read that last part, Matedo. I mean, trust me, I've been seeing this too. I've been seeing the drama unfolding. But this is where I think maybe now everybody can chill out a little bit and we can all be a little bit more level-headed, where it's like, have your preferences. I'm a firm believer that each platform has its pros and cons, but it's up to the individual to decide after weighing those pros and cons, which ones really speak to you more. And I think that this is just, again, a situation where for those who were putting Valve on a really, really high pedestal, where it's like Valve is greater than Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo by miles because they would never do something like this. It's like, well, that's wrong. They clearly would do something like this. They did do something like it. What now? And it's like, you know, some people might say, well, Steam's still better. And it's like, yeah, I'm not saying they're not. For you, it's just hopefully now we're on a more even playing field where everybody begins to understand and accept that this is just happening. And the greater fear here that people should have, if they're going to have any fear and any concern, it's not about, well, you know, is this company better than that company? Is that company, you know, being competitive enough against that company, which is something I focus on with Sony and Microsoft. The real fear is that if this continues in the direction it's going in, yes, we as a whole, collectively, the gaming industry is going to be pushed towards cloud gaming and, you know, something that is not, you know, we're going to be pushed into a future where the hardware is not really relevant anymore. It'll still exist, but it will become more and more niche, and it'll become more and more common for it's like, okay, how are you playing your games? Like, I'm just playing through the cloud, you know, renting, things like that. This is what that whole video was we checked out the other day. But Cheese, you're saying, how much do you see the PlayStation 6 handheld being? I mean, this is where, to me, the conversation gets very interesting because the thing that is still very different between Valve and Sony, because I see a lot of people making comparisons right now, there is one major differentiator, and you touched upon that, Cheese. It is the fact that Sony is in a position where they still need the mass market. So Valve can kind of take this approach where, like, yes, we can increase the price by $300. Who cares? We're not like, I mean, we're not trying to sell 15 to 20 to 30 to 40 million Steam Decks. We're not trying to sell 50 million Steam machines. The reality is Valve is just making these devices for the hardcore. That's the truth. They're for the true Steam enthusiast, where it's like, if the Steam machine comes out at $1,000 or more, the enthusiast is, and that's, you can assume those are the people who are buying the Steam Decks at the new price. But they're going to be the ones like, yeah, I'll drop $1,000 for the Steam machine. Absolutely. I want this thing. And that may mean, just like similar to how we talk about Project Helix, that may mean you only sell maybe a couple million at most. For Valve, that's okay. Again, that's the benefit. They're a privately owned company. They're not trying to reach the mass market. They've already reached the mass market through the vector of Steam via personal computers. Anything on top of that's just extra. The problem with Sony, and you know that they're facing, is it's literally the opposite. Like, no, we need you to buy a PlayStation. So when it comes to the price of the handheld, I mean, if this is a device that Sony's seemingly going to try to use to win people over, if they're not interested in getting a PS6, to move PS5 owners over to buying a new piece of hardware of some kind, I mean, truthfully, I think they have to keep the price within range. You know, maybe they'll have two models, but if they can keep a model that's in range of $600, perhaps, that would do something. If they go beyond 600, you're getting into territory where it's like this is going to be a very niche device. Like and the higher you go, the more niche it's going to get. Daniel with the $2 chat says PS6 $700 digital version would only be a $100 loss. Well, the truth is we can't truly calculate that at the moment, Daniel, because we can go based off of the bill of materials that we've been told currently, which I think is around $730, $740 for a PS6. I don't know if it's the same for the handheld. It's probably a little bit cheaper, but this is where I think the reason when Sony says like we haven't decided a release date or a price of the PS6, they're not lying. They're not lying because they have an idea of what they want to target, but they haven't decided on anything because the bill of materials, the price of it is going to change by the time we get to this time next year. Whether or not that change is going to be, so it actually costs $740 to manufacture a PlayStation 6. Now it only costs $680. Or it costs $740 now. This time next year, it's going to cost $800. It's either going to move up or down or stay the same. It's probably going to move in some direction, and that's what Sony's really waiting for. You know, they can't lock anything in and make any decision. Like, it's going to be an 11th hour decision. That's what makes me so interested about what's happening with these price increases and the collapse of the hardware industry is that it's imperative for Sony to sell the PS6 to a mass market unless they drastically change their business model, which they might. They've talked about pursuing different business models. They're in the process of working out all these different scenarios, but it's going to be an 11th hour decision. They're going to wait for as long as they possibly can until the day comes where it's like, we got to decide. And now we have to make that decision. In the meantime, they're going to be assessing, evaluating, running through scenarios, doing simulations, as they say, and, taking it from there. Top Shelf Gaming with the $2 chat. You're saying, forget console wars, gaming in general is failing. I mean, it's the gaming industry is so big. I think what people need to understand is when we talk about a collapse, people think about the 1983 video game collapse, the video game industry collapse. It's not going to be like that. It's not going to be anything like that. A collapse today in the games industry looks more like what we're seeing now, where it's like you can look around you and there's all these great things. Like Lego Batman just came out, 007, Pragmata. Modern Warfare 4 is just revealed, and it's Call of Duty, but I'm seeing people excited for it. It's like GTA 6 is coming out. There's all these great things. The hardware that surrounds us is great. Look at a PS5 Pro. What a fantastic console. If you want to get the Steam Deck OLED, fantastic device. Even if you do want to buy an Xbox Series X, still a great console. Switch 2, fine, right? The problem is the industry is going to shrink in the sense that it's going to collapse in the sense that there's going to be a scramble to try and ensure that all the more casual gamers that are getting priced out, or if not casual, just people who simply don't have the money, the finances aren't there, all these people that were once heavily involved or even moderately involved, they're going to get priced out and the money's going to stop flowing. The shrink is going to happen. There's going to be a massive scramble to find a way to get those people back in by any means necessary, because they're considered at this point too valuable to the bottom line that is the video games industry, revenue and profits. It's just where we are. I think that's what it's going to be. Cheese, you're saying with the super chat, Switch 2 will be $500 soon. PS6 handheld, $700 maybe. Well, considering how much more powerful the PlayStation 6 handheld is expected to be than the Switch 2, a $200 you know, premium on it sounds about right. I think $700 is going to make it a tough sell if they're trying to like really break back into the handheld market, and if they're trying to seriously. The big question is this: is Sony trying to compete with the Switch 2 with the upcoming PlayStation handheld? If the answer to that is yes, I don't think they're going to achieve that at a $700 price point. You know, maybe they could do something where it'll be $700 everywhere else except Japan. In Japan, they'll have a special Japanese edition that will be much cheaper and hyper competitive with the Switch 2. That's actually probably the more likely scenario. So I could see that. Makui Ninja, you're saying cross-gen just getting longer from here. It'll be double the PS4 users staying on PS5 and the PS6 generation. And that's the thing. When we talk about Sony having to potentially change their business model, I mean, seriously, they've explicitly stated this in their recent earnings call, where they said, like, we are considering looking at different business models. They did not elaborate, so that could mean literally anything. One of those business models is we have to accept the PlayStation 6 is not going to be a big seller, and we need to kind of, like, we literally need the PS5 to be extended into the PlayStation 6 generation, where you could make the argument that Sony already did this with the PS4, but not really. Like, Sony did release games cross-gen on the PS4, but they didn't, I mean, they really gave off the energy. Like, we're moving on from the PS4. Like, yes, there's still going to be games on there, but it's like they're releasing all their trailers on PS5. I could see Sony. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that they may be in a position where what's the cheapest entry point into the PlayStation ecosystem going into 2028, 2029, 2030? Well, if the PlayStation 6 is going to be 7, 8, well, let's face it, people are saying it's going to be $800 to $900, maybe even $1,000. If it's in that price range, then the cheapest you'd be looking at is $700, perhaps. Probably more than that, probably $800. Okay, what about the PlayStation handheld, which is technically like a portable PlayStation 6 if it's dockable in some way, shape, or form? Then that's kind of a next-gen system you can hook up to your TV, like the Switch 2. Well, again, if it's as powerful, based off of the specs we know, it's going to have a screen, it's going to have a battery, you know, it's like $700, even maybe $600, $650. I don't know. I don't know that that's going to cut it for Sony, where it's like you want to go into next gen with two distinct devices, a PlayStation 6 and a PlayStation handheld. And the cheaper of those two is going to be the handheld, but it's basically going to be the price of a PS5 right now. But it's also basically going to have a similar performance, you know, output as the PS5. Do you see what I'm saying? Where it's like you might just have to lean into the PS5 a lot longer. $549 handheld, $699 console with preferential pricing. If not, $599 handheld, $749 console. What do you think? Those prices, Shadowlink, in my opinion, are only even remotely possible if Sony's willing to eat the cost. And the thing is, I don't see anything in front of me that indicates Sony's willing to eat the cost. Do you know what I think, unfortunately, is most likely? People talk about Sony, the price of Sony's games going up. They might. We see how they're increasing the price of PlayStation Plus, but it was kind of like, we don't want to lose existing users, so we're just going to make it a little bit more expensive for new users. So we're going to increase it by $1, $3 for the other tiers. Which is like bad, like, okay, more price increases, but it's like you can start to kind of see that there's some type of strategy here where Sony is trying everything they can to avoid raising the prices outside of hardware. And if they do, they're trying to keep it really incremental, because I think what it's, I hate to call it a benefit. It's not a benefit, but it's like, if you look around, it is becoming kind of accepted that the price of hardware goes up. This is the new way. every single manufacturer is doing it to where now even Valve is doing it. It kind of sends a signal where it's like, listen, guys, if you're going to raise the price of anything, you probably should just raise the price of hardware, not the games. Try not to raise the price of the services. Just keep it strictly to hardware. That's still a problem in the long run for Sony, though, even in the midterm. We have it's Beast Mode using his milestone chat. He says, "What's good, MBG? Just wanted to say 007 is easily a Game of the Year contender. Triple anus. I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it, man. I've heard nothing but good things about 007. I mean, there's a little bit of drama, as there always is with every new AAA release, but I haven't been paying attention to that. I do want to play it. Going to be a little bit late to it, though. But I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it, man. Daniel with a $2 chat says, Sony could take the PS3 route and start high and then lower. They might have to. I've talked about that, just accept it's going to be soft for the first half of the generation, and then it's going to improve. Better sales, a relaunch of some kind of the PlayStation 6 with the PS6 Slim. But that's under the assumption that the circumstances are going to change. That's under the assumption that the cost of things will go down, that the cost of hardware will relax, Nobody knows. I mean, honestly, if you look at what some of the people who are really digging deeply into this are saying, and at the ground level, seeing what's going on and involved with it, it's not looking good currently. I'm not trying to be negative, but it's just, living in reality, things are going to have to change quite drastically, and they're going to have to improve in a way that most people are not necessarily anticipating. So it would have to kind of just come out of nowhere. Anything's possible, but this is unfortunately where we are. This is not what I thought going into next gen would be like. I mean, we still have time, but, and Cheese, you're saying with the super chat, Microsoft and NVIDIA are loving the price rises that they have caused with AI, pushes GeForce Now and cloud as cheaper alternatives. No hardware needed. Exactly. And you better believe it's not just them. Sony, Microsoft, I don't know about Nintendo, but certainly Sony and Microsoft are looking at cloud, looking at xCloud and, streaming through PlayStation Plus. And, they have to. They have no choice at this point. But yeah, you're right. They're probably loving it, man, to an extent. I mean, that's the future they want, right? And we have a direct donation from Wallroar. Thank you for that, man. He says, bro, I wish I had your optimism. I don't see these companies caring for us. Prices don't seem like they're coming down next gen. I mean, I am prepared, Like, I am prepared for the next gen prices to just be devastating, where it's like, well, guys, we're going to have to finance our consoles. We're going to have to finance our hardware now. And good news, Sony, Microsoft, they're going to let us. I see that happening. I am prepared for that. I guess it's just, I'm leaving open the possibility that many things could change, for better or worse, between now and then. And who knows if there's going to be delays. Maybe Sony and Microsoft will have a conversation behind the scenes where they're like, listen, we won't launch it if you don't launch it. Let's just collectively delay here. But that's the problem, is like the risk, if they choose to delay it, they're sitting on contracts, they're sitting on hardware, and there's every chance that the prices are going to have to go up again. Like, could you imagine that? Could you imagine Sony delays the PS6 launch by 6 months? And it's like, hopefully by the time the 6 months is up, everything cools down. It's like it actually ramped up. It's even more. You're going to have to price it even higher now. That's the risk. That is the risk. So it just, yeah, I mean, this is why I tell people, like, brace yourselves. If you're expecting some kind of delay of next gen, I don't think it's happening. But what I'm seeing more and more, and I'm sure you guys are seeing this too, I'm seeing it everywhere, literally everywhere. Well, I'm sticking with my PS5. I'm good where I am. Or if even people who are on PC, they're like, I'm just going to stay here. I don't even need to upgrade. I don't need to upgrade my PC. I'm not going to any other next-gen consoles. I'm good. That's going to be the problem, man. And if that happens to a degree where suddenly PS5 sales are falling, nobody's buying Helix, even on the, well, I'm not going to speak about the PC side of things, but you could, at least for Sony, I'll speak for Sony. That's where you could see game price increases, where they're like, we got to make our money somehow. I don't know. It is concerning for people like me and many of you, where it's like we're heavily invested in the PlayStation ecosystem. This is where we've kind of made our home. And it does suck to know that, like, man, if things get worse, Sony's basically going to be turning their gaze to us and being like, all right, guys, we're gonna need a little bit more from you now. It's like, bro, come on. Like, have we not given enough? You know? But maybe it could find its way in different ways. It could make its way in different ways, where it's like just a bunch of unnecessary accessories that you definitely don't need, but you might want. I don't know. Daniel, you're saying tech makers say shortages till 2030 is when the fix happens. But even that, I mean, maybe that's true, but it just seems to me like nobody actually really knows. I think everybody's seeking an answer. Everybody is seeking some kind of solution to this, even if it's like, okay, give me a date, give me a time. And it's like, nobody knows. This, like, for example, do you think anybody 4 years ago, even 3 years ago, do you think anybody was predicting this? No. Nope. I don't think a single person was. And even if a single person was, you definitely weren't hearing about them. So this is why it's like, I don't know that you can really predict anything. The best thing to do is just prepare, you know? If you're on PS5 or if you have a PS5 Pro, be prepared to settle in with that for quite some time. If you are somebody who's like, I definitely want a PS6 day one, just be prepared. You're going to probably have to pay the price of two consoles, pretty much, of what used to be the price of two consoles. Game prices, subscription prices, you know, just across the board, man. And I think it's totally understandable that people become hesitant. They kind of back off a little bit. You know, they're like, look, I love gaming and I'm excited, but there's a limit. Everybody has their limits. And we are just marching down a path of like, you know, we're just going to keep making people hit that limit faster and faster. So cloud gaming is going to save us all, man. Not really, but Machwi Ninja, you're saying never been not hyped for next gen until now. Well, here's where I think there's going to be an interesting dichotomy that pops up. Okay. I think what's going to be interesting is that when Sony decides to rev the engine and engage the hype machine for the PlayStation 6, I think people are going to be excited. I think people are going to be stoked. But I think that's where the dichotomy comes in, where then the prices are revealed. And I don't think people's excitement for what they're showing drops. I think it literally turns into, damn, man, the PS6 looks awesome, and look at these games. It's like, so you buying one? It's like, hell no, dude. Like, I can't afford that. See, I'm telling you, if Sony runs into that problem, they're cooked. They're going to have to, you know what they're going to have to do? They're going to have to, I mean, I don't know. That's the thing. If I was in charge of PlayStation right now, even I wouldn't know exactly what to do. Because I'd be like, well, we could do PS6 only exclusives, but that's not, like, the problem with Sony going with PlayStation 6 only exclusives is it'll create FOMO, but no amount of FOMO is going to matter if people literally can't afford your device. Like, literally. Oh, I want this. And I'm not even being cheap. I just literally I cannot find the means to purchase your device. Exclusivity doesn't mean anything at that point. So I'm not exactly sure how Sony's going to approach this, man. I don't want to see the console business collapse. I don't think certainly Sony doesn't want to see that. I don't think most of you want to see that. I don't think anybody wants to see that per se. because it feels like, yeah, we are kind of watching gaming collapse in slow motion to a certain extent. That's big news, Tarnished. Tarnished says, breaking news, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 will be playable. You'll be able to play the campaign without needing an internet connection. We did it. See, there's one victory. There's one bright spot after all. We'll check out that Modern Warfare 4 trailer a little bit later. I have a super chat from Cheese. He says, PlayStation Portal plays PS6 games through the cloud equals cheap. Watch that be the savior of it. Watch how much you want to bet, actually, because you just gave me a thought. You know what? You're right. No, dude, like this is it. This is what Sony does. I'm not saying that it's how I want it to be, but here's the PlayStation 6. $800 machine. $800 console, maybe more. 1,000. Let's just push it to the limit. Here's a PlayStation 6. It's $1,000. Okay. Here's a PlayStation handheld. $700. We're moving on from the PS5. PS5, I'm sure, will still be out there. But the idea is we're not really manufacturing. PS5 Pro is gone. They're not manufacturing them anymore. Base PS5, they're going to manufacture for a little bit longer, but then they're cutting it off. And it'll be like $600. Who knows? Maybe the price of the PS5 will be even more expensive by the time we get to the PS6. $700. Sony's going to come out. They're going to announce the PS6 Lite. You know where I'm going with this? And it's going to be a cloud console. It's going to be a cloud version of the PS6 where it will have some hardware in it, but it's going to be the entry-level device. $200, $300, $350 even. And it's going to be the thing that's like, oh, if you're the person that wants to partake, and we've generated the excitement, we've generated the FOMO, but you just literally can't afford a $1,000 box or a $700 handheld, here you go. Think about it. Like, think about what I just told you and really think, would Sony have any other choice? Keep in mind, if they wanted to continue to prioritize hardware sales, where it's like, we need to sell you the device. Because there is always the possibility that Sony could say, we're okay if you don't buy the device because we're expanding. We're putting a launcher on PC. We're expanding PlayStation Plus outside of the PlayStation ecosystem. We're expanding the PlayStation Store outside of the PlayStation ecosystem. But assuming Sony doesn't want to do that, this is the only alternative I see. Scuba Tank filled with farts with a $5 chat says, waiting for one of the companies to say, what? You finance your phones. Why not your consoles too? Sony. I hope they don't say that. I hope they don't say that because I talked about this before where, oh yeah, Irfan, bro, by the way, go for it, dude. I mean, I don't know if I'll be able to play along to it because I don't have anything connected to these drums, but it's up to you, man. I can't guarantee I can play it though. But Russell, you're saying with a super chat, price was a big factor for me choosing a 360 over PS3. Well, that's what's going to be different this time, Russell, is Helix isn't going to be cheap either. By all accounts, Helix is seemingly going to be even more expensive. It's going to be pricier than the PS6. So if the PS6 comes out at $1,000, you better buckle up and Helix is going to be like $1,200, $1,300, maybe more. If the freaking Steam machine is coming out at over $1,000, it's over. Like, dude, it's over for Xbox. It's over for Valve. Well, it never really, to be fair, it's not over for any of them. It already is over. But it's like mass market is off the table completely and entirely. Like, completely. The gloves are off, right? Like, the mass market is going to be a fight between Nintendo and Sony, but that's just it. Unfortunately, if Sony can't figure it out price-wise, the mass market goes to Nintendo. Call of Duty was just announced for Switch 2. It's getting real, dude. It's getting real. Like that, I told you guys, like, once Sony sees that, wait a second, MW4 is playable. I'm not saying most people want to make that their main way to play Call of Duty, but that matters. Like, that matters a lot. Sony has to think long and hard about what they're going to do. I'm sure they are. But that cloud console idea that I just proposed, I genuinely think that might be one of the only rational alternatives they can offer if they're not willing to truly extend the life of the PS5 in a meaningful way or expand the PlayStation ecosystem beyond the console. Cheese and Chainsaws with another super chat says, I bet Microsoft does that financing, push others into it. I do expect financing to be part of it. You know? Yes, Whiskey. Give me 1 second. I'm going to type it in the chat now. All right? Guys, give me 1 moment to type this. In the meantime, think about what we just talked about. All right, let me just double check this, make sure it's good. All right, Whiskey, I'm going to drop it in the chat. And this is for everybody else, too. I have a P.O. box opened. If you want to send anything over, feel free to do so. Don't send anything crazy. You send me some nonsense, I'm throwing it out, and I'm not even acknowledging it. All right, I'm letting you know now. Don't send any nonsense. But there it is. Oh, there we go. Ray's got it too. Thank you, Ray. And we have a super chat from Makui Ninja. He says, just seen a poll out saying most people will be buying the next Call of Duty on Switch 2 over any other platform. That's mind-blowing. Where was the poll, Makui Ninja? Because that is crazy to me. That's crazy. Who put that poll out? And we have Daniel with a $2 chat saying PS6 version, 512 gigabyte storage to cut costs would work. Maybe they could do that, but I mean, how much realistically would it bring it down? I think that's the question. But that's an alternative, perhaps. You just noticed Batman next to the weekly goal. Nice. Anyone thinking Steam Machine is $1,000 when the Steam Deck is priced $950? Game over, Valve. You think it'd be like a $50 price increase? Read the room. People are rejecting data centers. They are, but I mean, I feel like people are rejecting a lot of things right now, and yet we're just pressing forward. You know what I mean? We're just pressing forward. It is a little bit, yeah. Thank you for the clarification in the chat, Mrs. MBG. Yeah, the way I typed it does look a little confusing. All right, Whiskey. I appreciate that, man. Definitely looking forward to it. It was Spawn Wave who put that poll up. Okay. Yeah, he does a lot of those. That's interesting. I mean, I don't know how representative that is to the wider market that plays Call of Duty. Like, I mean, I do think Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 launching on Switch 2 has a novelty to it that you could see a lot of people say, actually, that's where I'm going to buy it this year. But then again, I don't know how many people really look at Nintendo as their go-to place to play these live service multiplayer games. I can't imagine it's that many. People apparently rejected Switch 2. Now look. Yeah, now they love it. Now the Switch 2 is the savior of gaming. Nintendo's going to save gaming again. Oh, does he have a predominant Nintendo fan base? I didn't realize that. That would explain it, I guess, if that's true. Yeah, Whiskey. So just be on the lookout in the coming weeks. I'm not going to do it like weekly. I'm going to let it kind of build up a little bit. In the coming weeks, I will have a stream titled, P.O. Box opening. So everybody will know that that's what it is. So look forward to that. And I'd say probably 2-3 weeks max, but probably in the next 2 weeks. I do love Soundgarden, Irfan, yes. The Switch 2 looks like a bargain now compared to the Steam Deck. Yeah, well, that's true. We'll probably do the P.O. Box opening on a morning with the missus coming up. So look forward to that. If people do this, I hope their online servers hold up, and we will see how well the controller joysticks hold up. Switch controllers didn't hold up at all well with the stick drift. Whiskey, no. It's not going to be. It's not going to be. Struggles to play Elden Ring. The Steam Deck doesn't have the power to back it up, you think? Thank you, Irfan. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. 512 gigabytes could cost up to $150. Are you that sounds like a lot, dude. Are you sure? Maybe that could work. If that's true, I can't verify that, but if that's true, that would be huge. Maybe they could make that work. Do I have a PS1 or PS2? I have a PS1. I do not have a PS2, Russell. I haven't had a PS2 for decades. I can't remember the last time I had one, but I do have a PlayStation 1. I might send him an Xbox. Guys, I swear to God, if I go to check my P.O. box and there's like 4 Xboxes, I'm going to snap. I'm going to live stream right in the P.O. box, right in the post office. I'm going to be inside the P.O. box. I'm going to go postal. The cost of storage has gone up a lot. Has it gone up that much, though? Like, so you're telling me you go from 1 terabyte to 512 gigabytes, that could cut $150 off the box. Like, that's crazy. The Witcher 3 Songs of the Past is confirmed for Gamescom. Okay, so that's going to be in August. I do not have all the PlayStations. No, at one point, I had every PlayStation, like, at a point in my life. But no, I know it's one of those things where I never thought about it. I never thought, like, what about, like, 15 years from now, I'm going to want this. I didn't think like that. I was just like, out the old, in with the new, bro. Let's go. And now I'm like, man, I really wish I would have kept that stuff. CD Projekt Red is working on a multiplayer game set within the Witcher universe. Really? I know there's a Witcher 1 remake in development. Gaming Survivor, what's up, man? Machwe Ninja, you're saying, yeah, SSD prices are crazy. 8 terabytes is now $2,800. Do you mean $280? I need to look this up. Oh my God, you're not kidding. What is happening? What is happening, dude? WD 8 terabyte black SN850X, $5,600. Okay. All right, guys, maybe we are cooked. Like, what? I haven't been paying attention to that. That's crazy. Well, we'll talk about that angle of it too. We'll talk about that, right? Walroar with the $2 chat says, y'all ready? Want to finance y'all next console? This is crazy. I can't believe gaming was ever going to need a good credit score. Stupid timeline. Better start working on your credit score now, guys. Better start working on it. Oh, man. You know what, guys? I got a better idea for myself. I'm not going to buy a PS6. I'll just wait for somebody to send it to me in the P.O. box. Look at that. I found my solution. You know what somebody's going to do? They're going to literally send me a PS6 box. I'm going to think it's a PS6. There's going to be like a brick in it. Bad idea. Bad idea. All right. I feel you don't realize how bad the industry is effed. I mean, maybe I am starting to realize now. It's pretty bad. It's really, really bad. I'm not going to lie. It like seeing Valve increase the price, I'm like, that's crazy. But yeah, so there's just going to be somebody's going to put a Project Helix inside of a PS6 box and send it to me. Nobody's doing anything like that. Oh, MBG, you think we're going to spend that money? You're out of your mind. They're not even going to spend it on themselves. They're like, dude, I can't even afford a Project Helix for myself if I wanted one. We have 2 super chats from Wabu Dude. He says, personally, I believe Sony will continue to support the last gen PS5 as much as possible as they transition into the PS6, much like they did with the PS4 going into the PS5. You continue by saying release the PS6 and continue to support the PS5 for those who cannot upgrade at the moment, then hope to be in a position to potentially lower the price of the PS6 in the future. You put a question mark there. I mean, Wabu Dude, I feel like what you just said is the most logical and safest approach Sony could take to next gen, right? Because it's like, let's basically just follow the path that we did from transitioning from the PS4 to the PS5. And the biggest difference this time, though, might be where, if you guys recall, because Sony went full-blown cross-gen going into the PS5. Every major release was cross-gen, even from Sony. If you recall, though, when they were talking to their shareholders like 2 years into this generation, they put out data that says, based off of what we've observed, the vast majority of people are buying these games on the PS5. They're available on the PS4, but we're getting very few sales over there because people want to, like, the people who are interested in these experiences, they want the best experience. They want to upgrade to the console and get that experience. This is where that might flip, where if we take Venom, for example, Venom, I believe, is going to be a PlayStation 6 launch game, and they release it like they did Miles Morales. It'll be on PS6 and PS5. The numbers might be flipped this time, where PS6 is going to get off to a slower start, sales-wise. It'll sell okay. You know, everybody who buys a PS6 will basically also buy Venom. But the vast majority of the sales, or at least a good chunk, you know, like maybe like 60% of the sales, even 50%, coming from PS5 users. You know, and you could maybe see something like that happen over the course of 2027, 28, 29, going into 2030. Maybe things change in 2030. Sony can, like I said, they can come out and be like, here's the PS6 Slim. It'll be cheaper. You know, we're going to have bundles and stuff. I don't know. They could kind of go crazy with it. And they could basically do what they did with the PS3, like you're saying, and just kind of relaunch the console. Wabu Dude, I don't know that that's what they're going to do, but I want to say that that's higher up on the list. Of all the things Sony could do going into next gen, that's probably at the top of the list. Because it's worked before. That's the important thing. It's worked before. Doesn't mean it'll work again, but if you're hedging your bets, if you're Sony and you got to decide on which path you're going down, that might be the best one. We also have Cheese. He says with a super chat, PlayStation made twice what Valve is worth. Price is still up. Yeah, and that's the thing, man, is there's no getting away from the truth here that business is business. And here's what I think. I think we are at a point where this notion of expecting, and I know it sounds crappy to say this, but I just think it's truly where we are, expecting any company, doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter what their profit margins are, doesn't matter how much more money, you know, X company makes against Y company, doesn't matter. None of that matters. I think at the end of the day, what people now are beginning to realize is all that matters is they're running a business. And they're here to make money. And if we're at a point where it's like, We either make money or we lose money. Oh, at this point, just always assume they're going to make whatever decision they need to ensure they keep making money. Even if it does look anti-consumer and it comes off as anti-consumer, I just think all these companies, you're seeing them all do it because it's like it's business 101. You know, it's just business, dude. And I think that might be where you start to see the conversation. We might be in the beginning portion of seeing the overall sentiment and the conversations surrounding the games industry change, not for the better, but where everybody, like I said earlier, is at a more understanding place where I hate to say it, but where we are headed right now, if we don't see a massive shift where prices come down, or if in the next year or two there isn't some major announcement collectively from Sony, Microsoft, and maybe even Valve and Nintendo, where it's like, here's our cloud solution, and this is going to be everywhere. Literally, all you need to buy is a controller, and then have a subscription potentially, and you're good. You have access to everything. So, you know, unless we see some kind of major shift and push into that in the next 24 months, 24 to 36 months, I think where we are is you're either in or you're out. Like, that sucks because it just seems so, it's so different from how it's been for the last like 10 to 12 to even 15 years. But now it really does feel like no matter what you want to do, like even if you do want to go to PC, it's like the PC space is suffering from the same issues that the console space is, where it's expensive. If you want to get a new computer right now, it's very expensive. And if you want to settle for something cheaper, you're going to be getting like really lowered performance. Like to a degree where you're like, okay, I guess I'll just settle for, you know, between 720p and 1080p gaming. I guess that's fine, you know, and I guess for some people that will be fine. So I don't know, man. It just seems like as we move forward, it is turning more and more into you're either in or you're out. And these companies don't care. That's why I'm so fixated on PlayStation, like specifically next gen, because if Microsoft says we don't care, I'm not saying they are saying that, but if internally Microsoft is like, here's Project Helix and we don't care if they buy it, like that makes sense, because it's like, well, why would you care? Your console sales have already collapsed. You're already at the bottom in that sense, and you've already moved into publishing, and you have Game Pass. That makes sense. On the other side of that, you have Valve. Valve doesn't, like, why would Valve care? Valve's like, yeah, we don't care if you want to buy our Steam Deck. We don't care if you want to buy our Steam machine. We're Valve. We have Steam. We have Steam. We're good. We could just do whatever we want, basically. Good or bad. You know, we're golden. We're fine. We're not trying to compete with PlayStation. We're not trying to compete with Microsoft. We're not trying to compete with Nintendo. We're not even paying attention to that. We're just doing our own thing. So then you have Sony and Nintendo. Nintendo, we already see what they're doing. The Switch 2 is off to a really good start. Breaking records. Seems like it's going to basically have the same trajectory as the Switch 1 over the next 5 to 6 years, unless this new price increase really dampens that. But then there's just PlayStation, man. And PlayStation, to me, they're in such an awkward position because it's like, Sony, you can't have that attitude. You can only have that attitude for so long. And that attitude I'm talking about is like, yeah, we don't care. Like, you're not publishing your games on other platforms. You're doing the opposite. You're going back to exclusives. You're not, like, sure, you have PlayStation Plus, but you're not putting your games day one on the PlayStation Plus. Nor are you seemingly trying to grow it aggressively. You have a cloud gaming solution that's locked behind a premium subscription. So what I'm trying to say is everything Sony has done is them pointing to the console. Why do you do this in this way? Oh, because you're trying to divert people to the console. This is why I'm saying, like, I'm still a believer. This isn't optimism. To be clear, what I'm about to say, it's not optimism. It's just what I believe is just the firm truth here. PlayStation literally cannot afford to price the PlayStation 6 at more than $700. And I even believe $700 is pushing it. Because if they do that, there's already minimal hype for this device. If they do that, you cooked your business model. Sure, you can place the blame on its market conditions. Sure, but people don't care. Like, what I'm saying is you need to sell your console. You need to sell it no matter what. You have to care about that. This is why I keep saying to you guys, like, the next year is going to be so damn interesting to watch play out, because the only other alternative Sony has, as far as I'm concerned, is they come out here and they're like, we're moving the PlayStation ecosystem off of the console. We're putting the PS Store on Helix. We're putting the PS Store on Windows. We're putting the PlayStation Store on your damn TV. We're putting PS Plus everywhere. We're putting our games everywhere. Unless they do that, then it signals everything is through the console. But they also don't want to shrink. So that's where it's like, you eat the cost, you're going to, that's going to show up to the investors. That's going to show a line going down for profits and for revenue, potentially. You can try to convince, maybe that's what Sony will do. They'll try to convince investors, like, we need to do this. It's not going to stay like this forever. But investors at this point in time are probably going to turn to Sony and be like, bro, they're I don't know. They're gonna be like, no, the business model is dead, Sony. We're not investing in a business model that shouldn't exist anymore. So I'm telling you, man, Sony's the one to pay attention to here. I know people are talking about Project Helix, and Project Helix will be fine, and I'm interested to see that too, but I keep trying to tell people, like, Microsoft isn't really concerned about selling hardware. Like, I really think people need to understand that. Like, they're not really that concerned about selling hardware. They're going to support Helix. They're going to market the hell out of it, yes, but they fully expect, like, this is going to sell worse than the series. Sony cannot take that same approach. There's a lot of triggered PC fanboys in the chat. I don't think so. I think everybody's looking pretty good. I haven't really seen too much fanboyism on either side. Well, Gaming Survivor, I was talking about that a little bit too. Hold on, I did get a direct donation from Wallroar. He says, and thank you for that, buddy. He says, y'all know that the same hardware the PC has are the same on the console. We are cooked. PCs and consoles have the same hardware. Both prices are linked. Well, you're not wrong about that. I mean, Sony has contracts and economies of scale, but if things keep going the way they're going, it's like that's not going to save you this time, because it's not saving anybody. It's literally, if you are involved in hardware, it doesn't matter to what degree. If you are involved in hardware, you're feeling the effects, and you have to make important business decisions. So this is where, like, the greatest thing Sony could do, in my opinion, the greatest thing Sony could do, and I don't believe they will do it, but man, it would be the biggest. If Sony wanted to prove something that goes beyond just pure business, which is a pipe dream, it's not going to happen, but it's just a man can dream, they would come out and be like, we are eating a cost. Like, they would win the hearts and minds of, like, everybody. If they had the balls, if Sony had the balls to come out and be like, the PlayStation 6 is $600, And it's like, yes, we are eating that cost. And we're feeling it, baby. We're feeling it. If they had the balls to do that, I think people would literally, they would want to support that. Like, what I'm saying is Sony could give the opportunity for people to kind of flock to the PS6 and make the PS6 like the kind of shining beacon of like, at a time when everything is going up, at a time when everybody's being squeezed. I mean, that's the problem though, Cheese. Like, that's why it's a pipe dream, because it's like, so, but yeah, what happens to PlayStation's bottom line? And it's like, well, they're basically struggling the same way they were at the beginning of the PS3 era. And it's like, yeah, that's really dangerous. What if that doesn't matter? I don't know. I don't know how desperate Sony is to sell hardware next gen. But when we talk about the business side of things, again, I know there's a lot of back and forth happening right now on the internet with some groups of people. I referenced it numerous times with like what's going on with PC, or specifically Valve and Steam. And it's just, this is the wake up call for some people. It is the wake up call. Like, all the people that pointed at me and other PlayStation buyers, where it's like, what are you guys going to do? Like, you're just going to keep supporting even though they're increasing the prices? And it's like, well, I mean, this is where we play. Like, I guess, yeah, I'm not happy about it. This sucks. But yeah, I want to play on PlayStation. And I just think those people are now waking up today and realizing like, oh, I guess it's kind of the same for us too. Like, yeah, because it's business. Like, but I am a little bit surprised. Like, I don't know. I guess I would have. I guess I'm just saying, like, people have this false understanding, or they think they understand, but it's like, do you really? And that false understanding is like Steam, like Valve is also not your friend. Like, they're privately owned, and they will make some cunning moves that a publicly held company maybe can't, because it's like, we literally can't maneuver in that way. And Valve can, because it's like, whatever, bro. Like, we can do this type of refund policy, and even if we lose a little bit of money on it, it's fine. Still making billions. We don't have no shareholders, and that's great. Like, those are the benefits of being a privately owned company, and also winning the hearts and minds of people and making a lot of money. But this is, I think, what we're seeing with the Steam Deck and the price increase is now, people are beginning to realize, like, yes, they want money too. They are business too. They're not your friend. They're not going to literally sell you a Steam Deck and be like, we're going to eat $300 to $400 on this for you. They're not, like, they have their limits too. That's the point. They have their limits too, because it's business. And when you're running a business, your goal is to make money and to be profitable. And if you run into an instance where trying to be this pro-consumer is actually going to be dangerous for your business and detrimental to the point where this is just unacceptable, pro-consumerism isn't going to exist in that space. Because it's a matter of, you need to do business, and your business needs to survive. If not survive, it has to thrive. In some sense. And so, I'm not saying it makes it any less annoying. I'm not saying it makes it okay. It's just, it is reality. We are living in reality. And some people just woke up yesterday and got that reality check of like, yes, this is the way of the world. This is the way of the business world. It's, we want to see these companies be more pro-consumer. We want to see them be less protective of their profit margins. We want to see that. But when everybody is signaling the same exact thing, what do we do? I mean, really, I think for a lot of people, the only option is walk away. And some people are. Some people are walking away. But for people who really care, it's like, I don't want to walk away. Yeah, then what choice are you making then? It's like, I guess I'll pay up. I can't deny. I want it. If I can afford it, I'm going to pay up. Oh, I'm sorry, Rich. Did I miss your super chat? Hold on. My bad. I think I have a direct donation as well. Rich, you're saying, if I like Xbox, grow up truly repulsed by you. Wait, hold on. I don't understand your super chat. Are you talking to me, Rich? Rich, did you just call me a fruit cup? There's going to be consequences if you did. Oh, okay, not me. Well, that's fine then. Oh, that was just a broad Okay, a broad statement. Calm down, Rich. Yeah, no, we're not doing that here anymore. We're not doing that here anymore. All right. The console, listen, the console wars, and by this point, I think the platform wars are over. The platform wars aren't over, but the platform wars aren't over. But I just think at this point, it's becoming clear, like, people are going to settle where they want to settle. Trying to convince anybody of anything at this point feels like a lost cause. There's no point for me to try to convince somebody PlayStation's better. There's no point for at least what just happened with Steam. Like now's not the time to come out and try to convince somebody Steam's better. Like, just go where you want. Like I said, they all have pros and cons. Evaluate them. Educate yourself on those pros and cons and make the decision for yourself. And when you're engaged in discussion about it, you can focus on the pros if you want. You could be a little bit quieter about the cons if you want. I think that's fine. MBG, this is not about the console warring. It's about the collapse of the PC industry. Well, that's the thing, though. If the PC industry collapses, console gaming is going to collapse to an extent as well. MVP Moss with the super chat says, what if they undercut for a year, then go up? They could do that. It is a kind of hit and run type tactic, a momentum building tactic. They could do that. That would be crazy. But actually, I could see that happening. Daniel, you're saying PS6 significantly better than the Pro. PS6 will sell well at 700. I mean, maybe it could sell well at 700. I just don't see the excitement at the moment. So when you tell me a $700 price point, hold on, I have a couple of direct donations. Lawman with a direct donation says, PC players are crying over PlayStation removing PC games because the truth is they're pirating the games. Alas, the outrage. This is a problem. I can't really speak to that because I haven't looked into it. I'm sure to some degree, PlayStation's games were pirated. I have no doubt about that. The extent to which they were pirated, I'm not sure. Maybe you're right, Lawman. Maybe you're not. I can't say. Wallroar with a $2 chat says, the investors would eat Sony alive. Exactly. Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo can't eat the cost. The line must go up. F this shit, pirate everything, emulate everything. I can't say whether or not they're pirating en masse. Then literally the next chat I read, pirate everything, emulate everything, take it all, take the power back. Perfect Image with a direct donation says, when or if we get a new president that changes the tariffs and taxes, that's when we see changes everywhere, including the gaming industry. That's the only way. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely tied to politics, but I'm not going to talk about that side of it. If that does happen, I'm sure things will change. There's no guarantee it'll change for the better. We don't know. I think all these things are crisscrossed at an intersection to some extent, where one is impacting the other to some extent. Like, I don't think you can just say it's just 100% AI. It's just 100% tariffs. I think it's a lot of these things working together. So, I think AI is probably a bigger part of that. Certainly, the drive for AI, to be the next thing that takes over everything, for sure. PlayStation is the way. Totokism is the way. Well, no, here's the thing, man. Like, I really do wonder, in all seriousness, like, if when we look at the PlayStation 6, the components inside of the PlayStation 6 are derived from PC components. Like, they're derived from the same manufacturers that manufacture PC components, is what I'm trying to say. So this is why I entertain the notion of like a cheaper PlayStation 6 box that is more cloud-based, because that to me is one of the only way they could pivot around or like outmaneuver this issue. Even Nintendo's running into the problem, dude. But Sony, I mean, you know, they're going to have to go back to PS4. That's the only way. You know what Sony has to do? They got to bring back the PlayStation 2. That's right. That's right. We have a shocking announcement during the PlayStation 6 event. We're re-releasing the PlayStation 2. We're going to manufacture them. We're going to sell them. They'll be the cheapest entry point. It'll now be considered next gen. We're going to reprint all these games, re-release them. Why do I feel like people would be like, hell yeah? No, that would be the most confusing thing ever. But no, what they'll do is they'll do a PlayStation 2 Classic. There you go. Jimmy Mack with a super chat says, gaming is moving in the same direction as other luxury sectors. More premium, higher margins, less people. This is the way, and many will be priced out. Well, maybe a dividing line. Maybe this is just going to be a more clear dividing line going forward, where the way it's kind of been for a long time is you have a hodgepodge of casual and hardcore gamers on this side of the gaming fence. And then on the other side of the gaming fence, you basically just had mobile gamers. Maybe now what's going to change is a lot of the people that were on this side of the fence that were technically part of the more core group of gamers in the core gaming industry, as cloud becomes more of a viable option and a more accessible option, they'll slowly start to migrate to that other side. And really, it does seem like as we go forward, the line drawn in the sand will be, are you playing on native hardware or not? You could be playing the same game, but are you playing on native hardware or not? That's fascinating to me, because I think that's where you're going to really see that, yes, you're like when I said you're either in or you're out, that's kind of what I mean. Like, you're either going to pay for the hardware, and you're basically going to accept that in order to engage at a hardware level, you need to pay a premium. And that's not how it's been, right? The way it's always been is the console itself was always supposed to be the cheaper price point, you know? Like, oh, that's appealing. A $300-$400 box, that's affordable. But Cheese, you're saying Nintendo planning a 20% production increase. Do you think that's because they're expecting an influx over this quarter, over the summer, until September when they raise the prices? Because that's going to be fascinating. If the price increase happens with the Switch 2 and they're still like breaking records, that's going to be fascinating to me. We have a direct donation from Titus. He drops a $5 direct dono. Thank you, Titus. And he says, hold on, he says, John, I just got an annoying RNG trophy in Final Fantasy. Which one is that? 6? Is that, am I reading that right? That's 6, right? Yeah, that's 6. While watching, I always get caught up with the Roman numerals for some reason. While watching your stream. So you brought me luck. Thanks, man. Well, you're welcome. Titus, you're welcome. I'm glad I could be of use, more so than just listening. You're stealing my luck, Titus. Stop stealing my luck, bro. I'm happy to hear that. Dude, our RNG trophies are the worst. They're the worst. I mean, they like RNG trophies can legitimately ruin an experience. Honestly, MBG, what's the point of a PS6 in 2027 when all the games will be held back by a meager Switch 2? It'll become the de facto generational baseline as we go into Switch 2's lifetime. plus people can't buy. If that does happen, Tarnished, then Moore's Law is dead. His idea, which if you don't know, his idea is Sony should just release a PS6S. By that, take the APU that's going into the PlayStation handheld, just put it in a box, and it's the cheaper PS6 model. If the Switch 2 does end up being that, like it is the baseline now, like for everything going forward, then I think Sony will have to do that. You know? Because it wouldn't make a difference at that point. Because you could make the argument that, okay, well, if the Switch 2 is the baseline for like third party, then it would be hard to say that the PS6 handheld will be holding anything back if the Switch 2 exists. The Switch 2 would technically be the thing holding everything back. So if Sony were to make a cheaper PlayStation 6 model that is significantly less powerful, basically the same power factor as the PlayStation 6 handheld, as angry as some people would want to be, where it's like, why did you make a PS6S? It's going to hold everything back. It's like, sorry, dude, we only did it because the Switch 2 is already holding everything back. And we want to be able to offer one of two options here. But the premium full-blown PS6 will be there as well. But yeah, I don't know. That's risky on Sony's part. And we have Laman with a direct donation. He says, Sony's not happy with Naughty Dog. Druckmann has bungled this generation for Sony. Sony Studios feels lighter with a lot of closures. CD Projekt Red would fit Sony. CD Projekt Red would be an interesting pickup for Sony, a big one, but CD Projekt Red seemingly has no interest in being acquired, let alone by Sony. I don't know. We've talked about that, Laman. Like, is Sony truly unhappy with Naughty Dog? Probably. But I talked about this earlier this week, and I'll reiterate it here. I think Sony's problem also has to be with themselves. Because it's like, okay, well, what is the biggest reason that Naughty Dog fumbled this gen? Because they decided to make a live service game. Well, why were they allowed to do that? Because Sony said, sure, we're all about live service. And then, unfortunately, Naughty Dog was like, actually, never mind, we don't want to do this. This is going to change everything for us. So the blame is 50-50 in my opinion. Sony should have been, Sony should have been more on understanding that you probably shouldn't make a live service, and Naughty Dog should have known from the start, like, yeah, we probably shouldn't. Who gives a rat's ass about that right now? Everything's on fire. Well, we still got the shows coming up, guys. It's fine. We still got the shows coming up. And we have Wallroar with another direct donation. He says, this is effed up. F Microsoft for predicting the future of gaming and what it should be for all. We will own nothing and be happy. What gods have we pissed off? Wallroar's melting down. He's like, I hate it. Why did they do this? What did they do to us? What'd they do to us? Geez, you're saying with your last message, they're increasing to 20 million units instead of 16.5 million they projected. Mix of higher expectations and the surge in sales they got last year overselling predictions. Damn. Overselling their predictions. I mean, maybe Sony's got to pay attention. If this is the trajectory the Switch 2 continues on, Sony has to pay attention because Microsoft's not on that trajectory. Valve isn't even part of the conversation in this regard to hitting a mass market. If Sony is still in the business of trying to reach a mass market, then they're going to have to pay closer attention to Nintendo. Because if Nintendo stays on that trajectory, that means like they're finding a way to still penetrate the mass market even during all of this going on. And yeah, if that's what Sony wants to continue to do, they might have to take a couple of notes, or just at the very least pay close attention. Hold on. If the PS6 handheld comes with a dock, it would be the PlayStation 6S. That's something that I think Sony could cleverly pull off if they do it just right. You don't have to make a PS6S because the handheld is the PS6S. what you can do is kind of like what they do with the hard drive. So it's like, oh yeah, you can buy the PlayStation 6. The PlayStation 6 is going to be digital only. Oh, you want to use discs? Buy the disc drive, sold separately. With the handheld, it'll be, here's the PlayStation handheld. Oh, you want to dock this? Here's a dock we sell separately. And they can have a bundle with the dock. I just think Sony's got to be careful because they don't want to like convolute it. The whole idea of the PS6S though is think of it like this, like with the PlayStation 6 handheld, they have to, they have to keep in mind like the screen eating up cost, the battery eating up cost. If they just take that exact APU and put it in a box, they're saving money, no screen, no battery, right? That could cut the cost significantly. So I'll put it to you this way. If the PlayStation 6 handheld, if we agree the PlayStation 6 handheld is going to be $700, take out the screen, take out the battery, put it in a cheap box, and how much do we think that would save? $100? $200. Could Sony come out with a PS6, even if it's the S model, for $500? That's something that might be worth thinking about if you're Sony, where it's like, we might have to do that. Because the whole idea of the PS6 handheld being dockable, I mean, you're still shipping it with a screen. You're still shipping it with, a battery, and that's going to be expensive. Those are probably going to be some of the most expensive parts. The dock's going to be $300. MBG, you're forgetting whatever PlayStation does, they have no competition. Xbox is dead, PC's dying. Where else do you go? Yeah, but I do think people have limits, though. I mean, you are right about that. You're right in the sense that I don't know the PC's dying. I don't know what's going to happen with Xbox, but this is where when I say people have decided where they are and where they're staying, seemingly, it's going to be really hard to convince people to come over, no matter who you are, whether you're Steam on PC, whether you're Microsoft with Helix, even the Switch 2, it's going to be hard to convince people. Oh, the screen is actually one of the cheaper parts? Of course it is. I think that really what it's going to come down to is, again, it comes down to Sony's decision. Who are you trying to appeal to here? And my fear is Sony finding themselves stuck in the middle and being undecisive, where it's like, well, Nintendo is finding a way to be find mass market appeal during these times. But you're not 100% Nintendo. Like, you're not doing exactly what they're doing. But then you see the other side with Valve and Microsoft, and it's like, well, they're not worried about mass market potential, as far as we're aware. Especially, like, at least with Microsoft, as far as we're aware. So that is the core decision that Sony has to make. Where if they come out with this attitude of like, well, where else are you going to go? I mean, that's going to hurt them because it's like, oh, no, I'm just staying on my PS5. And so that's where, like, if we talk about it under the notion of, like, Sony doesn't have any serious competition. PC's doing its thing. You got the remaining Xbox fans. They're happy with what's going on over there. And you got the Switch 2 doing its thing. And then there's just PlayStation, right? Well, at that point, Sony's biggest enemy is the PS5. Your biggest enemy is you, dude. It's still a problem. So that's why I'm not too worried about Sony getting complacent or like overly, I don't know, aggressive, because it's like, dude, you're gonna have to fight you're gonna be punching yourself in the face. You're gonna have to beat the shit out of the PS5 and the PS5 user base now. Congratulations. It's interesting to think, though, that really is kind of the situation they're in. By the way, guys, do me a favor. If you've been enjoying the stream, take a moment, hit that like button. We're about to hit 100 likes. Liking the stream lets me know you enjoy it. It helps with YouTube's algorithm. I'd really appreciate it. Oh, did you write that, Mitch? Nintendo Switch and Next Playground might bring some heat. I'm happy. You're saying you're happy PlayStation is the best ecosystem competition within itself. Superiority. Whoa. Well, I think I have another direct donation as well from Wallroar and Laman. So Wallroar says, piracy only increases when there's no options. Just look at Forza Horizon 6. Still sold a shit ton even though it was cracked. Piracy has been on the rise. Greed is to blame. I can agree. I think it is dependent on the situation, but like you do raise a good point. Forza Horizon 6 sold. And it was cracked. I mean, I remember covering that. Like I saw people melting down and they're like, Michael, your app doesn't show you how many likes the stream has anymore? Really? Well, Michael, we're at 102 likes. So now you know. I covered the Forza Horizon 6 getting cracked thing, and it's like the reactions I saw from it just goes to show like talk is cheap. You know, the reactions I saw from the internet, I'm like, this game might be in trouble. The way people are talking about it. The reactions I'm seeing, and it's like, no, it's actually going to sell incredibly well everywhere. It's like, oh. Go figure. Laman with the $2 chat says, or $3 chat, I mean, Schreier said on his channel video / tweet that Sony is furious with Naughty Dog over the cancellation and lost spending up to $300 million. And they're under review. This, I will say, this would explain, we did get, I think, another report from Jason Schreier that, you remember when we heard that apparently Naughty Dog had to crunch? Wait, Jason said that was a lie. He never said that. I didn't watch that Jason Schreier video. I know he put out like an hour-long video talking about Destiny 2. Well, Jason, to be clear, Jason Schreier did clarify, Laman. He clarified that when he answered a person on Twitter saying, yeah, Sony's not happy about Naughty Dog. Like somebody was asking like, oh, I guess Sony's okay with Naughty Dog. And he's like, no, they're not happy with them either. He did clarify that he's not saying like Sony's furious with Naughty Dog or angry at them per se. Like, we're going to take you down, Naughty Dog. We're done with we're tired of your shit. It was more along the lines of like, well, yeah, of course, Sony's not thrilled at the fact that Naughty Dog probably lost them a couple $100 million as well with the canceled online live service game and no new game to put out yet. You know? Oh, that was his first video? I didn't know that. I've seen that pop up numerous times. I thought he had a YouTube channel. He just like never uploaded to it. Interesting. Okay. Oh, God. Sorry. Just gotta maintain a little bit of flexibility. Never said they were mad. He said they were furious. I didn't watch the video. I'm not sure, but listen, I just think it's common sense. I'll be honest. Like, I think it's common sense. If you're Sony, you can't be too happy with the state Naughty Dog is currently in. If once Intergalactic launches and if it makes them a lot of money, then Sony's going to be happy. It's that simple. It's that simple. Release the game, make money, win awards, Sony's going to be happy. Is the PC segment done? We're probably going to talk a little bit. Well, we have a couple of other things to talk about. State of play. What else did I have here? Talk a little bit about Marathon later on. I don't know. Will we talk about Marathon? I put that in the... I mean, we will. We'll talk about it a little bit. But right now, I'm just kind of letting it flow. Gaming Survivor, calm down, bro. He's too much trembolone. Relax. It's fine. It's all good. Totokism for the win. I can agree with that. The age of Totokism is upon us. Once again, my friends. All right. The Switch 2 screen is about $100. Isn't that a chocolate? Totokism is my favorite chocolate. How far do I think Sony will go to subsidize? We have a direct donation from Titus Crow as well. Thank you, man. He says, this is a bottleneck for all of gaming. GOS knows what Steam Deck will sell for. PS6, between $800 and $1,000, I predict. Many people will just peace out. I mean, that's it, right? Like what you just said, many people. Not everybody, but many people. And that's the thing, like, how has Sony found success in the console market? By appealing to many people. Many tens of millions of people, over 100 million people. Are there 100 million people who are going to pay between $800 to $1,000 for a next-gen console? What about 70 million? 50 million? Less than 50 million? Sackboy, yes. Yes. MBG, I would pay to see you fight promised consort Radon from Elden Ring's DLC. Would you? How difficult is that fight? Sony should just sell it at 1K. People are sheep and will pay. I mean, sheep or not, man. Like, I think there are... The way I would put that is there are people who will pay because they want... Like, I'll admit, I want a PS6. I don't want to pay $1,000 for PS6. I'll tell you that. I'll be the first to tell you, and I mean this sincerely. If Sony comes out with $1,000 PS6, like I want you to go crazy, bombard me. Like you gotta win me over because I'm not gonna just. It's not for somebody like me. It's not as simple as it's a better box. Here's a couple games. It's $1,000. Go buy it. I'm like, no. Well, like the big question, the biggest question. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you how Sony could get me though. Oh, Michael's like, you won't need to. It'll be in that PO box. Michael, don't do it. You could send me a PS6. Don't put a Project Helix inside a PS6 box. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Here's the PO box, by the way, for anybody interested. I'll just try to get used to putting that in the chat a couple times. We have a super chat from Lindman. Lidman? He says, I guarantee you, MBG, when Naughty Dog shows Intergalactic, this will all go away. I think people are dismissing this game way too fast, as if Naughty Dog was some random shitty studio, LOL. I mostly agree. Like, I don't know that I can hang my hat on, I think it's all going to go away and everybody's going to be satisfied with it. But what I can say is that, yes, Naughty Dog is not a bad video game studio. Like, in the sense of they make very good games. They make high-quality games. You know what I mean? Like, they haven't put out a video game that's like, wow, this is really lacking. The worst they've done is they put out a video game that people are like, I don't like the story and the writing. Like, they dropped the ball for me in that regard. Everything else, superb. Some of the highest quality you can get. So I do agree. I do agree that, like, when we see it, it's probably going to look damn good. Is it possible that we could see a repeat of the characters of the game and the story of the game are not really, it's not doing it for people? Possibly. That's a crazy... Naughty Dog is a good studio that makes bad games. Huh? Do you see Intergalactic being more successful than Saros or DS2? Yes. Yes. By a wide margin. Dude, I mean, if we're talking about... If Intergalactic finds itself in the same sales category as Saros and Death Stranding 2, and I loved it. Death Stranding 2 was my game of the year last year, by the way, and I really enjoyed Saros. Unfortunately, like, Naughty Dog's gonna be in trouble. But I don't see that happening at all. I don't think that's a possibility. I could see Intergalactic struggling to sell as well as Uncharted and The Last of Us, but no, I don't think it's going to be in that category. Mr. B says, that's why I love 007. It stars a straight male. I love 007 because I got myself a straight male. With attractive females. It's basically Uncharted. Sometimes I start reading these not super chats, but just regular chats, and I don't know what I'm reading until I've already read it. I'm like, oh, all right. Yeah, guys, make sure you're continuing to hit that like button. Just a reminder, we have 2 goals we're striving for when it comes to gifts today or becoming members. The first is today's goal. You guys already crushed the first one. I've been waiting for some of the other cats to come in so I could give them their treats, but nobody showed up yet. But the second goal here is if we hit the 300 mark. So I'm going to reiterate this just a couple times because people might be confused at what they're looking at. If we have the rest of today, and we'll have tomorrow as well to hit up to 300. If we hit 300, after Morning with the Misses, I will do a stream playing some Lego Batman. If anybody wants that, you guys determine if you want that or not. I'm playing it either way. I played a little bit more this morning. It's pretty good, man. It's so funny playing Lego Batman. I'm like, man, we really, like, for as good as Lego Batman is, it's still Lego. It's like we really need a proper Batman game again. It's been too long. MVP Moss with a $5 chat says, yeah, F the haters and stop putting disrespect on Naughty Dog for real. Y'all annoying and insecure. Get over it and hate somewhere else. Last of Us 2 greater than Last of Us 1, by the way. Whoa. Relax. It's all right, MVP Moss. All right. He's like, I'm tired of this shit. I do honestly feel, though, that The Last of Us 1, for me, it's the better game. I can respect if somebody says they like the second one better, but for me, I like the first one better. All right, Gaming Survivor. I appreciate you stopping by, bro. Stay safe out there, man, and ease up on the trembolone. Don't step on a Lego brick. 1 was generational. I mean, I loved The Last of Us Part 1, dude. It's still one of my favorite games ever. To me, The Last of Us 1, it's what I like so much about it is it feels like the closest thing to like a perfect game. It's cinematic, but it has incredible gameplay. It's not overly cinematic. There's a perfect blend and balance of gameplay to cutscenes to quieter, more intense moments, or just moments where characters are engaging versus having these insanely intense moments that get your blood pressure high, and then, it doesn't overstay its welcome. The pacing is absolutely perfect. That's one of the things I still stands out to me today with The Last of Us Part 1 is like the pacing. It might be the best paced game I've ever experienced. Like, single player wise. And I mean that. I'm not trying to like overglaze it, but it's like, it's perfect. Like, there's no moment in that game, in my opinion, where like you're there just a little bit too long. Like, the only time you could really say that is if you get stuck on a puzzle or something. But I don't know. I think The Last of Us 1 is still one of the best games ever made. It's one of my all-time favorites. We have a direct donation from Wallroar. He says, F Bowie Knife 99. If you know, you know. Great game. I don't know. I don't know, Wallroar. I appreciate the direct donations today, by the way, guys. Thank you. Let's see. MBG, can you come up with a scientific research paper that proves The Last of Us 2 is an objectively bad video game? I can do that. No, I'm not going to do that. Sorry. I'm not going to do that. All right. Let's see. We have Daniel with a super chat. He says, I see the Faye game selling more than Intergalactic. I agree. But I do think the Faye game is going to have an advantage. Apparently, Kratos is in the Faye game. This is something that we've been hearing, that Kratos is in the Faye game. I don't think you're going to play as Kratos, but he's in it. And he might even be like a boss battle or something. So I think, Kratos will be part of the marketing, and I think that inherently gives Faye a bit of an advantage, the Faye game, that is. Like, people think that when we get the Faye game, it's going to basically show how Kratos and Faye met. And part of that is going to be, you know, part of that's going to be probably some kind of conflict. It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. I think the Faye game is going to be the closing announcement for the State of Play. She dominates him. Oh man, dude, that's going to be... I didn't think about that. Dude, if that's how it goes, that's going to be... Oh, we got a controversy brewing. You know that's going to be controversial. Kratos gets beat up by his wife. Oh, I didn't even think about that. No, you're right. You're right. If it's a boss battle and you're playing as Faye, you're going to have to beat Kratos. Oh, man. Oh, no. Corey, don't. Like, I don't care, but, man, you're going to see people melting. People are going to be talking about that for years. Yeah, Titus knows. He's like, oh, man, how do we prepare for this? I mean, yeah, I'm excited because it's been so long since we've seen Corey Barlog, man. It's been a long time. Captain Cuba did put out a video about this game. There's a lot of stories that SMS can tell with Faye. Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out. I saw the thumbnail. I see some of these videos pop up, but I like don't. I always say I'm going to get around to watching it. I never do. That sounds epic, but it's going to get twisted. Probably. Like, I don't know. But I mean, that kind of makes sense, though. You know, like, you could kind of see Kratos, like, he's attracted to that. Like, man, you are kind of kicking my ass. Okay. He'd be like, maybe you want to go on a date? It's going to be great. What if she doesn't defeat him, but escapes him instead? I mean, I don't think I'll put it this way. Like, if Kratos is going to be in the game and it's going to be how Faye and Kratos met, because, you know, they end up marrying and having a son. I mean, I don't think it's just going to be as simple as we fought. I beat the shit out of him. And he was like, wow, you're really cool. You want to get married? Like, I don't think it's going to be that simple. There's probably going to be a lot more nuance to it. And I could see Kratos like showing up numerous times or something. Yo, how funny would it be? I would laugh my ass off if, like, throughout the game, Kratos keeps encountering Faye and, like, she just keeps beating the shit out of him. Like, he keeps trying to beat her and he can't beat her and she just keeps whooping his ass. And then at, like, the very end, he finally gets, like, one victory. And then that's what's like, okay. I can't wait. I mean, honestly, I can't wait to see the Faye game because I do think it's going to be good. I do think it's going to be good. All right. Thank you for that, Chris. Yeah, my arm's in some pain, but I don't know. It feels like it's slowly but surely getting better. I think I'm still going to need like another month or something. I don't know when I'm going to get to 100%, but I can definitely feel it getting a little bit better for sure. Like I'm in a little bit less pain at night. I didn't wake up as much last night when I was sleeping. I was in less pain this morning when I woke up. I have pain right now in my arm, but hopefully it's a sign that in the coming weeks, this will just be a thing of the past and I'll fully recover. People should view the Faye game like what Remedy did with Alan Wake and Control, same universe, but different gameplay. That's a good way to view it. Yeah, I'm really interested. I mean, more than anything, I'm interested in the gameplay because, I mean, the rumors we've been hearing is that the gameplay is going to be more like fast paced. It's going to be similar, more akin to like Devil May Cry or something like that. I'm sure it won't be exactly like it, but that sounds interesting to me. It sounds like different, you know, very different compared to what we got with God of War 2018 and Ragnarok. So another thing that really interests me about the Faye game is how long it's been in development, dude. This game's been in development for a long time. MBG, do you realize how much controversy this Faye game will generate? A God of War game isn't a God of War without playing Kratos. Ragnarok's Atreus sections were so bad, didn't feel like God of War. There will be controversy. My hope is that at the end of the day, it's going to be a fantastic playing game with a great story. To me, that's all that matters. If there's something really terrible about the game, we're like, man, this gameplay actually kind of sucks, or the story is super uninteresting. You know, I feel like that's where Ghost of Yotei kind of faltered, to be honest. Like, I think Ghost of Yotei, it's like, that's a game that completely nailed the gameplay. It helped evolve the gameplay from what we got in Ghost of Tsushima. But at the end of the day, once I finished that story, I'm like, I don't think the story matched the gameplay. Like, it was mostly okay, but I don't know that I would say, I don't like, it's very, I'll put it to you this way. When I played Ghost of Tsushima, like, when I think of these two, when I think of those two games, I think of Tsushima. When I think of the story, like, I remember that game. I remember some of the characters. I remember some of the moments. I remember specifically the ending and the build up to the ending. Yotei, obviously, I remember it. It's very recent, but Yotei's story to me, like, I've talked about this. I'm not going to go on and on about it, but the final act of Yotei to me was like, what? Okay, like, that's it? Huh. Okay. It wasn't awful. It's just forgettable. Very forgettable. Very, like, I think the first two parts, the first two, I don't know if you call them chapters, but, like, I don't know. The beginning and the middle of Yotei was more interesting to me. And the ending just really got me to, I'm like, oh, eh. No, I don't think it was trash. No, I would not call Ghost of Yotei story trash. Certainly not. To me, that would be, I think that's disingenuous. I mean, honestly, it is kind of, I feel this way about a lot of Sony's games where, like, I just don't like the sequels stories as much. I felt the same way with Spider-Man. I thought the story in Spider-Man 1 was way stronger than 2. Way more impactful. There will be other returning characters. The brothers made the axe for his wife. Oh, yeah, true. Rock and Sindri. All right, well, so, we talk about state of play. I'm not doing a bunch of state of play predictions yet. I'm going to save that for a different stream. But I do want to talk to you guys about a game that leaked. We have two games. That seemingly, well, one is going to be revealed at the state of play. And I don't know if you guys are excited for this game, but it is Rayman Legends Retold. Nate the Hate says it will be at the state of play and it has new content and more. I think it'll impress and surprise people. So my understanding is that Rayman Legends Retold is a remake of Rayman Legends of some kind. So we have one third-party game that has leaked. Well, actually, yeah, Death Stranding 2 was better than 1. That's true. But Rayman has leaked. That's going to be revealed at the state of play. As of right now, that's like the only leak we've gotten for the state of play. I hope it stays that way. I don't want anything else to leak. Oh, God. Hold on. Having neck problems again. Try to do like chin tucks. It's like what I'm supposed to be doing. But, there's another game here. I really don't have much to say about Rayman. I don't really play Rayman. But there's another game here, and this is interesting to me. I don't know if you guys saw this. So there is a studio called Maverick Games. And this studio, Maverick Games, they are comprised of former Forza Horizon and Forza Motorsport devs. And they've been working on a game for, I think, quite some time. And they're making a racing game. And they have a countdown right now. It says, while we wait patiently for Forza Horizon 6 on the PS5, we may have another racer to look forward to. A studio comprised of ex-Playground devs, Maverick Games, has posted a countdown on its official YouTube page, but it ticks down to June 2nd. The timer is set to expire approximately 12 hours before Sony's State of Play. So we don't know for sure if this game's going to be revealed at the State of Play, but here's what makes this game interesting to me, right? Because it's like, oh, okay, so we're going to get like another Forza Horizon type game from people who used to make Forza Horizon. It seems like this might be the big difference, though. So it says, while the studio was initially funded by Amazon, the retailer's decision to step aside many of its game projects means it was forced to go independent. So we don't know what the budget's going to be, but it says one interesting wrinkle is that the developer has hired skin scribe Jamie Britton to pen the game's script, and it's being described as having narrative elements. So in that sense, it sounds like more ambitious from a story side, where it potentially look, I don't know if it's going to be this, but it sounds like it might end up being like a pretty cinematic racing game potentially. And I do think that, I don't know, if the developers really can pull it off and they can make a game that's just as high quality as, Forza Horizon, but with an actual narrative, a good narrative at that would be interesting to me. But I don't want to get people overhyped. This is a new independent studio, and we haven't seen anything from them. So keep your expectations in check. But I do wonder if this will be a game that shows up at State of Play. It feels... I'm going to be honest, I don't think this game shows up at State of Play. I don't think it does. It feels a bit... I don't know. I don't want to say too low key for State of Play, but who knows? Maybe what they're making looks incredible, and Sony saw it, and they're like, we want this at the State of Play. But do keep in mind that this is a game that's going to be revealed there. It'll be very British then, if it's the skins writer, as Playground are also British. That is true. That is true. Playground is British. Huh. Maybe, it says the countdown expires like 12 hours before the State of Play, so... They might just reveal it on their own. That makes the most sense. If that's when the countdown expires, they might just reveal it on their own. So maybe it will be the State of Play, maybe not. MVP Moss with the $2 chat says Tsushima's story only got good in the third act. You think so? It was a little bit long in the tooth, I suppose, in some areas. A lot of building up. I don't know. I really, really enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima's story a lot. Is Wolverine over the shoulder third person or top down? I've watched trailers and get that Xbox Wolverine game based on the movie. It is mostly over the shoulder third person, but it does look like when you're in combat, kind of similar to Spider-Man, the camera zooms out a little bit. Not like, I don't think it's top down, but it does zoom out. Can't wait to see more Wolverine. Same here. That's the thing. When we talk about the upcoming State of Play, that's pretty much the only thing that's been officially confirmed. Somebody said to me the other day, they're like, a lot of people don't realize that Wolverine is opening the State of Play. I'm like, yes, that was literally confirmed by Sony. They said Wolverine is kicking off the show. And this is the thing. I know that there's a lot of negative talk in the industry right now, a lot of concern, but there are some bright spots. To me, Wolverine is still a bright spot, and God, I can't wait for this game. I still firmly believe that Wolverine is going to be the best game Insomniac has ever made. I think it's going to get the highest Metacritic score. I think for a lot of fans, it's going to be like, this is incredible. Maybe I'm overly ambitious with that prediction, but I don't know, man. This game speaks to me. Like, it's just awesome. The thing that we were most concerned about with Wolverine, we were most well, you're saying Wolverine's killing cyborg people. I mean, yeah, but I don't know that matters, because in the trailer, like, there's still blood. You know, he's putting his claws through somebody's skull. That's not cyborg. That's not a cybernetic enhancement. And those cyborgs are actually a faction of enemy, I believe, in Wolverine's lore, like from the comics. So I don't think that was put in there. It wasn't put in there to, like, so we can, like, you know, it's not real people. Is it classed as fantasy violence? Yeah, but the game's still rated M. So again, I think it just has more to do with this is the faction they pulled from for the story they're trying to tell. But yeah, when I watched that trailer, dude, I don't know. Like, keep in mind they're showing. They opened the trailer showing Wolverine like ripping somebody in half, and just blood exploding everywhere. And I'm like, and he's covered in blood, and I'm like, okay, like, I don't need over the top gore just for the sake of it, but it's like, yeah, Wolverine is a vicious, badass character that's how he operates. So as long as they didn't, like, between the time we saw that trailer in September and the gameplay we're about to see, as long as they didn't tone anything down and dial it back a lot, I think this is going to be the most brutal game Insomniac has ever made. And I just hope it lives up, man. Like, everything I've seen tells me it will. Granted, we haven't seen a whole lot, but they're going to be like, it's not actually blood. It's not actually blood. Insomniac always nails gameplay. They always nail gameplay. Ratchet and Clank, Spider-Man. Even with Spider-Man 2, even though there were aspects of that game that were weaker than the first one, in my opinion, the gameplay, they nailed it. Do I feel the soft reviewers will review it? You know, some purple hair will say it's disgusting. Oh, I hope not. I mean, look, I hope that Wolverine, if it is truly like the best Wolverine game ever made and one of the best, highest quality Insomniac games ever made, I hope it gets the review scores it deserves to reflect that. You know, I'll definitely be paying attention. It's not like when I pay attention to the review scores that Wolverine gets, I'm not going to care. Like, it could get like a 73. I'm not going to care. Like, I mean, I'm going to care in the sense that, whoa, why is this getting a 73? It's not stopping me from buying and playing it and probably thoroughly enjoying it. But I'm more interested with Wolverine to see if it hits a high watermark, because I think Insomniac can do it. Like, I think the highest ever reviewed game for Insomniac was Spider-Man 2. 75 is the highest Wolverine game. Oh my God. Okay, well, I think they're going to blow that out of the water then. I mean, I could see it hitting, like, being in the high 80s. I would love to see, dude, listen, I know it's probably not going to happen. I would love for Wolverine to come out and get it's like 94 on Metacritic, dude. Like 94 on Metacritic, one of the best PlayStation games ever made, one by far and away. I want to see Wolverine basically be like the Batman Arkham for Wolverine. That's what I want to see. And I think if there's any studio that can pull it off, it's probably Insomniac. But yeah, I think that's maybe a bit overly ambitious. 88, 89. That's probably more realistic at the end of the day. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, Daniel. So guys, make sure you're continuing to hit that like button as we progress with the show here. I do have to wrap the show up today at 3 p.m. Eastern time, so we have exactly 45 minutes left before we wrap up today, okay? So we still have things to talk about before we wrap up, though. Okay, we'll talk about the state of play for a couple more minutes. Time doesn't exist. Technically, it doesn't, Michael. technically, but for now and while we're here, it does. Irfan, I'll see what I can do, man. I can't promise I'll be able to play it today. I'm on a bit of a time crunch today, but I'll be sure to check it out. And I will tell you this. If we are planning to hit today's goal of hitting 50 members, if you're planning on doing that, we need to do that probably in the next 30 to 35 minutes. So I have time to actually play the drums as the member goal reward. Because if we hit it at exactly 3 o'clock, I'm not going to be. I'll have to put it on the back burner and open a show playing the drums or something. Because yeah, I'm under a time crunch today. So far, 007 is a 10 out of 10 for me. Better than most Bond movies. No, Dillo, we're not doing that. I would recommend watching my last stream, Dillo, to be honest. Let me see. More Witcher's epic. MBG play The Witcher 3 when the new stuff comes out. Maybe. It's intimidating, not gonna lie. I don't understand Forza giving IGN, or Forza gave IGN a 10 out of 10. I don't understand IGN giving Forza 6 a 10. But so many games got, I think it would say like a 6. I mean, that's where I try to tell people, like, it's just IGN, man. You know, I think people put too much weight on IGN, but I understand they're kind of like still the most known. They're still considered like a go-to for reviews for some people. You feel like the Faye game is going to be average, but I don't think it's as ambitious as Intergalactic. Well, speaking about the state of play, so we are, let me see. We're 5 days away from the state of play. Gut check from you guys. How are we feeling? Have you lost any excitement? Are you feeling more excited? For me personally, my excitement has basically stayed the same. What I find interesting is pretty much nothing is leaked except the Rayman thing. And I am a little bit hopeful. I got to say, I'm a little bit hopeful that we're going to get a big state of play that's actually not going to leak. Now that I've said that, tomorrow the entire show is going to leak. But I think it's possible that there might be some, huge surprises or just some really good reveals that are not going to leak. And that would be great because I think one of the things that would need to happen to really make this show next level for people is the surprise factor. These days, it feels like we really don't get many surprises. And, I will do a predictions stream, maybe on Sunday, where we'll talk extensively about what I believe may happen or what is likely to show up, what I think won't show up, right? I think this is what I'm going to do on Sunday, either Sunday or Monday. I might do Sunday because I think more people will be able to tune in. We'll see. I'm undecided on that. But I really do want to run that down. And I think the truth is we can kind of deduce a lot of the games that are going to show up at the state of play. I think like there's a certain amount of titles that we already know about that pretty much guaranteed to be there. But I think the possibility to have some surprises that are going to be a little bit bigger than normal might be higher, So just to answer that question you're asking, what are the state of play reveals? The only thing that leaked out for state of play is Rayman. Which one is it? Rayman Legends Retold. That's the only leak we have from state of play. It's a third-party game from Ubisoft that's apparently going to show up at the state of play. You think the PS6 tease is possible if PS6 is still releasing in 2027? GTA 7, says Sean. I mean, that's an interesting one. We talked a lot about the PlayStation 6 throughout the stream. Is it possible Sony could be ready to tease it? Well, do keep in mind, apparently they have a PlayStation Portal OLED that they want to reveal. Also keep in mind, they announced those PlayStation Elevate speakers last September And then they haven't said a word since. So, and they also have the monitor, and they also have the, what is it, the fight stick. So to be honest, I think Sony's going to be pretty okay with the amount of hardware they're going to have to reveal. I don't necessarily know that that's the right time for the PlayStation 6. It would be cool, though. It would be cool. I mean, maybe they could just... I don't know. Sony did just acknowledge the PlayStation 6 with their shareholders. They didn't call it the PlayStation 6, but they acknowledged it like pretty much for the first time. Hopefully not 20 minutes on hardware. My God, that would be crazy. Hopefully, especially hardware that's already been announced. Well, like the way Sony talked about it, like they were just really brief. They were, they answered a question from a shareholder and they were like, we haven't decided the release date or the pricing of I think they just referred to it as next gen. If I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure that's how they referred to it. They just said like next gen. They haven't decided yet. Hogwarts Legacy 2 is a game that apparently people are expecting to be there, and that would be huge. I'll tell you what, Sony having Hogwarts Legacy 2 would be huge. That game, the first Hogwarts Legacy was an absolute juggernaut behemoth. So they're going to bring Mark Cerny out, and he's actually going to talk for 35 minutes about, I don't know, the PlayStation handheld. Oh, yeah, that's a good one, Irfin. Resident Evil 9 DLC. Yeah. I think that's... I don't know if it'll necessarily be at the Sony show, but it could be at Summer Game Fest. But the timing, yeah, we're due for that. The PS5 teaser was just a small tease back in April 2019. What did they tease exactly, though, Daniel? Specifically. My shoe is untied for some reason. Hold on. Okay. Oh my God, my knees are so stiff. Back in May, I was gone. Mr. B says, very excited for the new Witcher 3 expansion. I need to replay the other expansions on PS5. I mean, I have to say, I'm surprised to see The Witcher 3 getting another expansion where it's like, bro, how many games? What year did The Witcher 3 come out? 2015? How many games are getting new expansions like this? Single player games. Here's a new expansion 11 years later. By the time it comes out, it'll be like 12 years later. Well, I mean, yeah, it's a 60 million seller. This is where RockStar could learn a thing or two, where it's like, bro, make some single player expansions like you used to for Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead. You remember Undead Nightmare? That was incredible. But I know Witcher 3 doesn't have any multiplayer aspect to it, but hey, you don't know that, Irfin. Maybe I did. MBG, what are your thoughts if PS6 has a DLSS 5-like feature, AI graphics, photorealism? I think Sony's got to be very careful. I'll say if they have a feature like that they've been working on, they just saw the reaction to DLSS 5. They have time to pivot and make changes. Irfin's like, I know full well, MBG, I know. The PS6 was technically announced in a Wired magazine with an interview with Mark Cerny. You meant to say the PS5, right? Because if memory serves, that's how I remember it kind of being talked about. It was like so weird. They're like, oh, we're doing a Wired magazine interview. Mark Cerny. And I remember, yeah, it's all coming back to me now. I remember one of the things that people were concerned about where they were like, he didn't mention ray tracing. He didn't say anything about ray tracing. And then he did a second interview. And he was like, and I want to reassure everybody there will be ray tracing. The PS5 will offer ray tracing. And it was funny because, dude, Mark Cerny, he was kind of right. Like, if you guys remember, Mark Cerny was not convinced ray tracing was going to be that big of a deal. He's like, I don't think this is it, guys. But, like, at the time, so many other, graphics card companies or manufacturers and Microsoft and everybody, they're like, no, ray tracing, ray tracing, ray tracing. And he's like, okay, I guess we're going to add ray tracing to the PS5. And look at how much it matters now. Like, he was right. He was kind of right to a degree. Nobody really cares about ray tracing. Like, maybe on the PC side of things they do. And, now we're moving into path tracing. But now it is going to be a part of the PS6 with much better ray tracing and potential path tracing. But it's just, I remember that. It's so funny. People were all over the PS5 and all over Mark Cerny being like, no ray tracing? Are you out of your damn mind? You son of a bitch. Mark Cerny. You want the PS5 to fail. He was right, though. Did you see Rocket League upgrade reveal? It's on Unreal Engine 6. I did. Yeah, I covered that in a video, and I watched the trailer for it, and interesting. Is it just me, or is the time from Unreal Engine 5 to Unreal 6 like way quicker than what we saw previously? I feel like Unreal Engine 4 was around forever before we got 5. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but all right, guys, let's talk about a few other things here, though. Okay? Keep in mind, we have about 30 minutes before I wrap up the stream. So just do keep that in mind, okay? But we are going to talk about 2 other topics. Well, kind of one topic, but one of those topics is Season 2 for Marathon was announced. And I think it's going free to play for like a week. And this is it. This is the big push. This is the big push where they're trying to win people back. And in the midst of all this, in case you were wondering, I did also cover this in my video today, but Destruction All-Stars is shutting down. Unbelievable. Unreal. So Destruction All-Stars has been delisted. Just a heads up. It's been delisted, and you can no longer buy the currency, and it can only be played offline. So you can no longer play it online. You can play it single player, but this November, it's gone permanently. Do you guys remember Destruction All-Stars? Do you remember how Sony tried to sell this game? It was one of the launch titles they showed for the PS5. It was, in fact, they even featured Destruction All-Stars in, I'll never forget, there was like a state of play Sony did, specifically dedicated to the PlayStation 5 UI. And it was a first look at the PS5 UI, and Destruction All-Stars was all over it. And they came out and they were like, yeah, we're going to charge $70 for Destruction All-Stars. Do you remember that? That was absurd. And literally nobody pre-ordered that game. Nobody pre-ordered that game. And the pre-orders were so bad that Sony ended up coming out and being like, okay, we're going to make it $20 and we're just going to put it in the PlayStation Plus. And even that couldn't save it. Geez, let me see what you're saying here. Why can't I find your message? Hold on. 8 years from Unreal Engine 4 to 5 and 6 to 7. Ain't no way he said 6, 7. From 5 to 6. Okay, so it's actually not that. It's not as big of a difference as I thought. Yeah, for some reason I was like, didn't we have Unreal Engine 4 for like 12 years or something? MBG 007 First Light already sold over 1.5 million copies. PS5 most purchased. Not surprised by that. I'm not surprised by that. Well, I mean, 007 seems like it appeals to the Uncharted crowd. I read VGC's review, and they were saying there's multiple moments in this game that are very reminiscent and seemingly inspired by Uncharted. I'm like, that makes sense. But yeah, Destruction All-Stars is going away. I just want to let you guys know about that and kind of reminisce a little bit about how strange that was. What a strange game reveal. Marathon Season 2 has to be successful or Bungie suffers even bigger layoffs. Well, yeah, getting back to Marathon. So we've been seeing everything that's going on with Bungie. Destiny players are mourning the Destiny series. There's no Destiny 3. Marathon is all Bungie's working on right now, full time. And they just announced Season 2. And if I look over at what they announced, I mean, geez, they, so, like, apparently this is kind of strange. I'm going to be honest, man. Like, this isn't looking good. And I'm not trying to be negative again. I put, like, a lot of time into Marathon, but apparently, like, the only new map they're offering. Like, it's cool. There's a map called Dire Marsh. It's one of, like, 3 or 4 maps, I think. Now it's going to be nighttime. I mean, I genuinely question, like, dude, I don't know, guys. Like, I feel like you maybe should have also had a brand new map as well. That's what concerns me. Is this one of the worst things that can happen to a live service game? It's adding a whole new layer. And I mean, that's good. Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just skeptical of, like, guys, we've seen, like, what happens. Even Battlefield 6, dude. Where, like, if you can't have really good content output with your seasons, you're going to have a hard time winning people back. But they're doing a night map, and they're adding, like, a bunch of different layers to it, like you said. They say veteran Marathon players already know that Dire Marsh can be an unforgiving place with its deadly mixture of long sight lines, elevated perches, and concentrated points of interest. One wrong move in the marsh can change a run in an instant. For Season 2, we're offering up a new vision of the marsh. As night descends in the zone, the light disappears and the tension skyrockets. With the new Night Marsh zone, light comes at a premium, with multiple areas that feature pitch darkness. Even the exterior wayfinding lights you might rely on are reduced, amping up the dependence on quiet steps, maximum awareness, and a quick trigger finger. Thankfully, players will have new tools at their disposal, including attached lights on their runner shells, as well as new loot options they can use to combat the darkness, including dark sight scopes and signal flares. But beware, the light you may be using to find your way might just be a beacon for an enemy. So they say there's going to be some new enemies as well. What else are they listing here? The Sentinel. So this is the new shell. They say with Season 2, we're introducing more variety to the runner mix in the form of a Sentinel, a new defensive shell designed to control space and shape encounters before they even begin, with a mixture of tools and abilities that offer defensive safeguards, superior intel, and deadly traps. A skilled Sentinel player can control tempo, force hesitation, and turn enemy aggression into deadly mistakes. They're also doing something, they say, be reborn. In Season 2, you'll have more control over your runner shell progression over the course of the season thanks to the Cradle. This new system will let you level up the weave worms that create your cybernetic body and shape your upgrade path as the season continues. You'll do so with weave worm energy you can earn and use to level up your Cradle, routing that energy into upgrade paths that unlock stat gains and access to new perks. Best of all, you can reallocate your energy at any time during the season. Simply reset to have your energy refunded and start again. So they say with the Cradle, we're offering more customization, allowing you to fit your runner shell into your preferred playstyle. They say a fresh start with new tools. Season 2 will begin with a full reset for all Marathon players, leveling the playing field so that every runner is once again on the same page gear-wise. It's a time when everyone is discovering what's new and learning how to survive Tal Ceti together. I think they're adding a few new weapons. Okay, and the final thing they say here is If you've played previous Bungie games before, you might know about Bungie Rewards, our ongoing program. So they're going to have exclusive rewards to that. But I don't know, man. Like, am I like, I just feel like I'm not trying to be negative, but there's just a part of me where I'm like, that's it. I'm saying that because it's like, guys, this is supposed to be your big push. Like, we got to get people back. Like, this is our moment. I'm not saying that can't come with season 3 or season 4, but I don't know. I guess I just would have thought, like, they're not working on Destiny 3. They have 800 developers. Maybe I'm being overly negative, but I'm just skeptical. So at the end of the day, though, I played Marathon. I put a lot of time into it. I'm not going back to it. You know, I do think that some of the things they're putting out here are cool. I do think the nighttime is pretty interesting, or like a pitch black map or whatever. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, I got my fill. I got my fill. I'm wondering if what this is going to do for the game. Because I really do think in order for this game to make it for the long haul and to really allow Bungie to get back into a better place, I really do think that this is going to have to do some heavy lifting for them. It's going to have to bring a lot of people back on board. Cheese and Chainsaws with the super chat says, Naughty Dog developers have openly credited James Bond as an inspiration for the Uncharted series. Full circle moment. In the 80s, he hung out of a plane like Uncharted 3. That is interesting. Yeah, it does feel like a full circle moment because, I mean, I think it's funny because when you think of Uncharted, most people immediately jump to like Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider was the game. And of course, it was heavily inspired by Tomb Raider, but throw James Bond in the mix, and here we are with the 007 game that's now taking some level of inspiration from Uncharted. Uncharted took inspiration from the movies. Now, the 007 game is taking inspiration from Uncharted, the game. Kind of like how that works. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it myself. Again, I'm going to be late to it. Right now, I'm still just playing Lego Batman. I haven't had a lot of time to game this past week, but when I have been gaming, I've been playing Lego Batman. The 2 games that are on my backlog that are like must-play games that I'm going to be for sure playing at some point, Pragmata and 007. We need to see Sabretooth. Oh, you're talking about with Wolverine? Yeah, true. I think they're saving that. I think we will see it. Guys, hold on one second. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. I think Sabretooth is in the game, by the way. Dwayne, what's up, man? I'm doing well. Week's going okay. You went to see a screening of Enter the Dragon. That's amazing, dude. Yeah, Enter the Dragon. What a classic. What an incredible movie. I grew up watching that. That's awesome. But Irvin says, come on, guys, drop some memberships. Feel free to drop memberships if you want. I appreciate all the support you guys have been showing today. We got a good amount of support today. We got a lot of super chats. We got some membership gifts. We got healthy amount of direct donations. So I really appreciate all that. We have 20 more minutes. We're going to be chatting here, finishing out the podcast and topics. But when it comes to, oh yeah, I never got to it, man. Mouse PI for Hire was a game that like I thought for sure, I'm going to be able to play that day one. And it's just one of those, this is what happens. This is what happens, man. I'm not good at balancing multiple games at one time. Whenever I start playing a game, it's like I'm just in that game. Like right now, I'm just fixated on I got a platinum Lego Batman. And I have no idea how long that's going to take. You know, I think I've only unlocked like 4 or 5 trophies, and there's like 52. But I think I'm going to try. I was going to say I'm going to try to balance multiple games, but I'm going into June, and June is like literally going to be the busiest month ever for my channel. So for now, it might just have to be Lego Batman. After Lego Batman, I'm going to decide between Pragmata and 007. And then maybe down the line, I'll be able to play Mouse PI for hire. Yeah, none of the cats came in today, dude. Well, Boss was here for a little bit. But yeah, it was really sad what happened to Bruce Lee, man. He was incredible. But getting back to talking about Bungie, talking about Marathon, I feel like right now, I don't know. There's a lot of negativity, understandably so, but I'm not convinced that Marathon can make the big comeback. I am convinced that Marathon has carved out enough of a player base that they can keep coming back. They might drop off, but then they might come back. Unless like season 2 and season 3 down the line drops and they just don't see any people returning. Like it's just very, very, very few people returning. If they see something like that, then they might be in more trouble than we thought. But I think Marathon has carved out enough of a spot for itself to be around for a little while, you know, long enough. The real question is what Bungie's going to do next. Do a second channel for gaming streams like that other person? Actually, Cheese, I'll tell you this. YouTube has this new feature. It's a collab feature, which I'm sure some of you guys have seen. Other YouTubers may be doing. And what I didn't realize about this collab feature is the views are the same. So, for example, if I made a second channel and I titled that channel like MBG News or something, or PlayStation Today, something like that, and I tethered it to this channel where every time I uploaded a news video, it would upload to both, the views would count the same for both. So if I upload a news video on my channel here and it gets like 8 to 10,000 views, that's exactly how many it would get on that second channel. The idea is maybe down the line I could have that second channel for people who are not interested in streams. You're not interested in streams. You're not interested in seeing me live in your feed all the time. You're not interested in any of that. There's a second channel where it's just the news videos that I release throughout the week, nothing else. That's something I might end up doing because now that they have that feature, the only reason I didn't do that previously was because I was like, well, man, how am I going to split this 2 ways? But now there's something there where you can actually integrate it, which is pretty cool. And we have Big Cat's Corner with basically a $15 super chat. He says, MBG, want to shout you out. Know this week has been a wild one for you. I've been watching all the content and stuff since this weekend. The stream was the best you've done in a long time, man. Keep this consistency up and everything will work out great. This episode proves it. F the trolls and just focus on the content and do you, man. Well, thank you so much for that, Big Cat's Corner. Yeah, I want to just apologize to everybody for a weird week. I'm just going through some stuff, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, physically as well. And I do appreciate you guys, bearing with me, really, sincerely. And I'm sorry to be so chaotic and so all over the place. And Big Cat's Corner, I agree. I think today's show went very well. And I'm going to do my absolute best. I'm going to try everything I can. The most important thing for me, and I think for all of you here, is I want to make sure everything is down pat going into June. June is going to be a massive month, especially the first week. It's right around the corner. I mean, dude, we got shows galore. We got State of Play. We got Summer Game Fest. We got the Xbox Showcase. And there's a bunch of smaller shows in between, which most of them, I'm probably going to end up missing. But it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. And who knows what's going to happen after that. Going into June, July, August, September, we're looking at not only a ton of game releases, the build up to GTA. It's probably going to be another State of Play in September. I mean, who knows what type of next gen news we're gonna get. So I really appreciate that, Big Cat's Corner, and thank you so much for the super chats. And I'll do my absolute best to just keep up this type of cadence and be consistent with it. I'm sorry that I overthink things and I end up just kind of like I end up creating unnecessary, needless problems because I'm just overthinking things. When in reality, it's like we're just here to talk games. Like let your passion come through, man. Remember, you're interested in this stuff because it's what you like to do. Don't overthink it. So appreciate it. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, man. Thank you, Big Cats. Daniel, you're saying Take-Two is cracking down on unofficial servers. Rockstar Games has ordered multiple popular fan-made multiplayer platforms for GTA 5 to shut down. Did that just come out? Did that news just come out? Because that... Uh-oh. I mean, I don't know that it's so much uh-oh as much as it's... Oh, I'm looking for it now. I don't know. Did that news just come out? Because that's one of the bigger things about GTA 6 is the online and the multiplayer. And we know they're going to be doing, excuse me, we know they're going to be doing, user-generated content. And they're going to have servers for that. That's going to be massive. They're really going to be trying to kind of copy the Roblox formula here. And even to an extent, what Fortnite is doing, too. You're saying that's not news? Okay. Well, yeah, they own 5M now, and the servers have to be on 5M. If they're not on 5M, then I guess they get shut down. Okay. That makes sense. I just wasn't sure if that just came out or if that was like something that was already known. Looks like Asha Sharma did an interview. Or wait, no, she didn't. Okay, this is paywalled. Hold on. Something came out about Xbox, but it's on The Verge. Oh my God, what's happening to my voice? It's on The Verge. I can't talk. Although Shinobi 602 recapped it. Here we go. It says previous Game Pass price hike accelerated subscription losses and slowed growth. The price cut is starting to reverse this. Hard choices ahead for Xbox, says CEO Asha Sharma. Quote, growth slowed down and subscriber loss accelerated after the pricing and SKU changes last year, said Sharma. Since our price reduction, we have seen acquisitions grow and retention improve, which is a good first step. She continues, we are building a stronger Xbox. That means making hard choices about what we build, where we invest, and what kind of company we need to be going forward. Finally, that is part of what you're starting to see in the shift from Xbox to Xbox. Okay. There's no way that's a quote. That can't be a real quote. So it says, I'm not kidding. I thought I misread that. It says, quote, this is part of what you're starting to see from the shift from lowercase Xbox to capital Xbox. I'm not trying to be mean, but like, what are we doing here? You know what? I could get behind it. Sony, PlayStation, all capitals. Send a message. That is funny. That is funny. I mean, there's nothing even remotely surprising about what she's saying here, though. I'm assuming this was an email. I don't think this was an interview. I think this was like another email she sent out that maybe Tom Warren got a hold of. That's even worse than Phil. How does PlayStation reveal console names? I mean, dude, they're just like... when PlayStation reveals console names, it reminds me of that meme of it's like the black dude with he doesn't have a toothpick in his mouth and he's just like looking, and then it's just like flipped and he has a toothpick in his mouth. It's like that. Like, to me, that's Sony revealing the name of the next PlayStation, where the way they got clowned on from the PlayStation 4 to 5, it was, I mean, stuff like that's funny. I just think honestly, it's just the quote itself that's funny to me, where it's like, that seems like a typo. This is part of what you're starting to see with the shift from Xbox to Xbox. Like, huh? What do you mean? It's like, shift from PlayStation to PlayStation, son. I thought this was PlayStation. No. Don't let yesterday's PlayStation be today's PlayStation.
Do it! Just do it! Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just
Yesterday, you said lowercase
Make
Xbox.
your dreams come true. Just
Do it, Asha.
do it.
Do it. I love that soundbite. We have Wall Roar. By the way, guys, before I read this, Wall Roar, we have, I don't know, Wall Roar, I'm sorry, I'm not actually talking to you. Why did I yell your name? Wall Roar, we have 9 minutes. We have 9 minutes, and I have to wrap up the stream at 3 o'clock, so I will make this a last call. If you guys want to drop any more support before we head out, now is the time to do it between now and then. I will let you know if we do happen to get a member train going, and if we do hit 50, I will not be able to play the drums as a reward today. That'll have to be, we'll have to take a rain check on that. But yeah, now is the time. And then, let's see. And we will be back here tomorrow, by the way. We're going to be back here tomorrow with a Morning with the Misses. So feel free to tune in to that and hang out with me and Mrs. MBG for a little while. Be a good time. But Wall Roar with a direct donation says, great stream. Glad you're going back to regular streaming. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Although we are cooked as gamers, we need to stand together. I agree. I have my preference. I'm going to be playing on PlayStation. Unless Sony does something crazy where they're like, we're done with the console. We're not making single-player games anymore. Unless they do something crazy like that, I plan on sticking around for the long haul. But I'm glad you enjoyed the stream, Wall Roar, and to everybody else. And yeah, I think it was a good show today. It would be funny if the next PlayStation gets revealed and it's not called PS6. It's called PlayStation insert new name here. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. Because it's like the PS6. I mean, you can't. That would be nuts if they pivoted from that. I would be surprised. MBG, I just watched a fascinating video called Ex Bungie to New Bungie. You should check it out. Let's see. I'm not going to be able to watch it now, but I will. Who made this video? Oh, it was made 5 months ago. Oh, geez. Over 800,000 views. Oh, I don't know, man. Jeez. We'll see. We'll see about this. I'm always a little bit skeptical because it's showing that side by side where it's a picture of mostly men developers and then on the right side it's all women. But maybe, I don't know. It could be an interesting one. It'll make me sad. Just what I need. Just what I need. Snake. Yeah, that's true too, man. Yeah, it's true too. It's tough out here. But I appreciate all of you guys. Really means a lot. All the support you guys show. Thank you for sticking with me through thick and through thin, through crazy, through sane. From Bungie to Bungie. Capital Bungie. Sage, no. It's not going to be. No. All right, we got basically 5 more minutes. So for the last 5 minutes, I'm just going to hang out with you guys. And then we will head out. And just once again, one more reminder, we are doing Morning with the Missus tomorrow. I'm going to shoot for 10 a.m. Okay, I'm shooting for 10 a.m. Eastern time. So I'll probably put the stream out at 9 a.m. so it's set up and you guys will be aware. And during that stream tomorrow, if we end up hitting that larger goal for the week, I'll do a double header. When me and Mrs. MBG are done hanging out with you guys, I'll do a gameplay stream of Lego Batman. I'm just doing Lego Batman because that's what I'm currently playing. If not, no big deal. We'll be back here Sunday. Sunday is the last day of the month. So either Sunday or Monday, I'm going to do my state of play predictions. If there's no news, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure which day I should do my predictions. If there's no news to talk about on Sunday, we'll just make it state of play predictions. And then I'll just have to think about what we'll do for Monday. But if there is news, I'll cover the news on Sunday and then we'll do the predictions on Monday. Yeah, state of emergency. Yeah, state of emergency. Hopefully no leaks. We've been good so far. Mitch, you're saying anybody else getting inconsistent YouTube notifications? You're definitely not the only one. That's always been a problem with YouTube. Oh, by the way, I'm going to drop Discord link in the chat. Feel free to join the Discord. A lot of people, Ray, you might have to do it for me, buddy, if you're here. It's not letting me open my Discord. All right, well, if Ray's still here, he's going to try to drop the Discord link in the chat. But a lot of people, if you're somebody who always wants to be notified when I upload videos or when my streams go live, consider joining the Discord because a lot of people rely on the notifications through Discord because they're more consistent than YouTube's actual notifications. So do keep that in mind. Although I don't think Ray's here right now. Well, let me see. See if I can do this. I don't know why it does that. Sometimes it just doesn't let me open Discord. All right, there we go. Oh, okay, Ray's got it. Ray, thank you for that. Yeah, so guys, the Discord link is in the chat right now. Feel free to join that Discord. And we have Titus with another $5 direct donation. Thank you, Titus. He says, I'm happy that you feel better today compared to yesterday or this difficult week. We got your back, John, always. Thank you, man. Thank you. You guys are awesome. And so, yeah, this will be a good time for me to segue to the outro here. Titus, thank you for the direct donations, and thank you for the member gifts earlier as well. Yeah, that wraps up this episode of Press X Podcast. I didn't spend as much time talking about Bungie or Marathon as I expected to, but maybe that's okay. Maybe that's okay, because I feel like we spent a lot of time over the months talking about them, maybe too much. But before I head out, if you dropped any support today, whether that be membership gifts, becoming a member, super chats, direct donations, thank you. You guys are the sponsors of the channel. You guys make this content possible. Simply put, I would not be able to do this here if it wasn't for your support. So thank you so much. I also want to make sure to give a shout out to Devil Shooter. Devil Shooter does the timestamps for the streams. If you guys see him in the comments with those timestamps, give him some love, show him some thanks. I know he appreciates it. And what else? Oh, yeah. We have a P.O. box now, although unfortunately, I don't have the address in front of me, but I will continue to post that P.O. box throughout the streams coming up. So if you're interested in doing anything with that, we will have a special Morning with the Missus coming up in probably the next 2 or 3 weeks where we do a P.O. box situation, which that's going to be an interesting one. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Morning with the Missus tomorrow. I hope to see you guys there. If there's some kind of big news tomorrow, maybe we'll do a regular Press X podcast episode as well. And just make sure you guys hit that like button on your way out. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, bro. No, not a blue box surfing. Ray posted the P.O. box info in the chat. So I'm going to try to make sure I pin that alongside the direct donation link as well from now on so people are aware. All right. Ray, you got my back, bro. Thank you. All right, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and or evening or night. And we should be back here tomorrow, nice and early. So I hope to see you there. And that's it. Until next time, guys. Take care. Cheese, you couldn't have told me this sooner? Oh, man.